Va- Greg, why did he put those there? Why did he put those chairs there?
Oh, turn them around. Can we turn them around?
Yeah, we don't want somebody sitting in them though. Okay, just yeah, turn it around. Here. No, not allowed. Okay.
I'll pour a little water in. Big water. Looking forward to that part. I got all every hour or so.
It's all right now. You're muted. So one mute when you're ready. Buddy will have it.
I'll pass it over to Buddy.
Yes. And Roger will use the same mic also. Can I move my chair? Huh? Can I move my places? Jen.
Here to show support.
One of my
County
favorites.
Hospital. That's right, we sure did.
How are you? Good. I've just lost my voice a little.
Well, you know, that's convenient.
How do you like the new gig?
I love it. I'm really enjoying it.
And no more commute.
Yeah, that's really nice. When I have to go over to Baxter, I'm like, oh, this is just so hard. And I did it every day for 9 months.
Hey, Marie, did you get him squared away?
Yes, yeah, I told him, I said, you know, most people are gonna sit, which is like, I don't wanna be that guy that stands, and I was like, well, you know, am I gonna have to, stand? I'll stand.
None of them.
I know, so he was like, he's like, I'll just go with the flow, I'm ready to do whatever. Like, I just feel like it works.
Okay. As IT said, in theory, it's this work. If not, Tori, just like, she watched last.
Yeah, I was thinking away, standing.
And then I'll remind them, but what they'll do is they're gonna share this mic with Buddy, like they'll move it to him and his turn.
You guys got this?
James, once you're done with the prayer, you'll pass the mic back to Scott, and then you guys will use it for your presentation.
Okay.
Leave this way, get the records. So I don't have to do anything with the clock running.
Nope, you got,
Show up.
no, you just basically remind them of the time and you'll see it on that big TV. They'll see it at
So nobody's taking this.
everybody in the room should see it. Because after watching the video, you saw it's like you don't have time to read Do you want last name? Morning.
Morning to you, but both. Just as long time no see. That's front center reading.
Do you want to get the directors?
Yeah, you
Do
can
want
get
me
Asking if he's ready for his speech. He said, depends on what kind of mood I'm in and how it goes. He's feeling a little feisty or not.
You got the prayer?
I can, yes, sir.
What I was told, the first thing, right after the gavel in, you point to the secretary. No, right after the gavel in.
Good morning.
Secretary
Well, like
said,
this time.
Good. Don't be late today.
Whatever you would prefer me to do. Do that right after the prayer.
Yeah,
More
yeah.
fun than school.
Everybody's phone went to 10 o'clock. I guess that's right. All right, Mr. Chairman, it's all yours.
Okay. Call the annual meeting of North Arkansas Electric in order. If you would please stand for prayer led by James Woody and a pledge of allegiance.
Father, we come this morning just counting it a privilege to be able to live in the communities we live in. Lord, you've placed us here to live with our families, but also to serve our communities. We thank you for this cooperative. We ask your blessing on this meeting today and your blessing on this time together and the families and members represented here today. Lord, we just honor and glorify your name. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. If you would, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Be seated. Welcome. Good to see everybody. Capper Gaze has been appointed as the secretary for this meeting. And I'll turn it over to Mr. Coleman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can everybody hear me? Hello, hello. Okay. I've got a few announcements to make as well. We've got some special guests here, and I want to recognize them and thank them for being here. First of all, thank you to the members who are here. Thank you to all of our great team of employees who are here. We're glad to have you here. So, also in attendance this morning, want to recognize Mr. Buddy Haston, CEO of Arkansas Electric Cooperative Corporation and Arkansas Electric Cooperatives Incorporated. Please give him a round of applause. And he will actually have part in the presentation this morning. Maureen Lisovic. Maureen is in the back of the room, and she is Director of Corporate Communications for Arkansas Electric Cooperative Corporation as well. Chance Allman and Kyle Dollarhite, they are over here to my right. They are the AV specialists who'll be helping us with our audio-visual here. Four of us Mazers, we have Beth Jones, Audit Director, Chris Doolittle, our tax partner, and Matt Fritz, also the tax manager of the tax division of Four of Us Mazers. From Toth and Associates, our consulting engineers, Craig Wojcicki, manager of utility rates and financial analysis, wherever Craig is. And two fellow managers are here with us today, David Vondran of CNL Electric Cooperative. David's in the back of the room, and Michael Kirkland of Petty Jean Electric Cooperative. And I think I also saw Terry Rorks, who's a board member at Craighead Electric. Terry, we're glad to have you here as well. So let's give them a round of applause, if you would. I'd like to welcome all of you to the annual meeting. It's our 2026 annual membership meeting. We appreciate everybody who's joined us today in person and also those who are watching in online. We look forward to sharing our updates. And your co-op, along with the director election results, I think that'll be Mr. Morgan. You know, we've been doing this for 87 years. Our directors and employees have worked hard for the membership and the communities we serve. We do try to provide members reliable, affordable, responsible, and safe electricity, as well as high-speed internet through Next. And we're very proud of what Next has done. At the co-op, we want to deliver more than just electricity and internet. We want to continue to serve as a pillar in all of the communities that we serve and as a community partner. We do that not only by living in those communities, but also being active participants. And many of you on the employee team are active participants in your community, and you volunteer and you do good work, and we're proud of that. We are your neighbors. Our employees shop here. They coach their children's summer ball teams. Some of them, like me, didn't do a very good job at that. Yeah, I think they put me as bench coach back in my day. They also volunteer at schools and community events and a lot of other things. As for the co-op, we support our cities, chambers of commerce, first responders, nonprofit organizations in a variety of ways. We give financial support, but we also provide employees the opportunity to share their time and talents for this worthwhile cause. I'm very proud of the work that all these employees do in bringing electric safety programming to members of all ages. That is high on our list, electric safety. One example is our high voltage safety trailer. Operations personnel demonstrate the danger of contacting energized lines, and we do our best to educate people on steps to take if involved in a vehicle accident, and that does happen, unfortunately. Chris Waltrip, would you stand up, raise your hand? Where's Chris? He's in the back. Okay, Chris is here, and if you have any questions about electric safety or anything like that, he's our safety manager. You can get with Chris, and he'll certainly talk to you. Investing in electric safety education is what we do. It's very worthwhile, and it does save lives. Investing in our children is also a vital part of our communities. One of the largest projects that we do, one of the largest, is not all the projects we do, is giving a pair of athletic shoes to each third grader in the 12 school districts that's in our service area. Their excitement, and for the folks that have actually gone and done that, the excitement is contagious, and you see it when they open that box of shoes. And sadly, and we all know this, there's many kids in our communities who don't get new shoes very often, if ever at all. And those parents, those principals, those teachers have told us how much this Soul Power project really means to the kids of this area. Another way we develop future leaders is through the Electric Cooperative Youth Tour in Washington, D.C., and I know we've got some Youth Tour alumni in the room. We were just talking about it a few minutes ago. We sent 4 teenagers on an all-expenses-paid youth tour trip this year, and they just returned from a week of touring the monuments, museums, and memorials of the nation's capital. And you know what? They also learn about leadership. They also learn about our government. They learn about the sacrifices of the men and women in uniform, and the role cooperatives played in developing rural America. Very worthwhile program. We also develop community leaders by helping fund their college education. If you haven't joined Operation Roundup, we would encourage you to do that. That's where you round up your electric bill to the next dollar. And all that money goes into the educational fund that we award scholarships from. So thanks to those of you who are enrolled in Operation Roundup. We also raise money through our annual golf tournament fundraiser. And this year we awarded 20 scholarships to recent high school graduates, and that was in May. These are just a few ways that we embody the 7th cooperative principle, concern for community. And every day we do that because we want to do that. And it's the thing that I think we do the very best. Another principle is members' economic participation. Nothing shows our commitment to our members more than the retirement of capital credits. We proudly have returned $31.5 million in cash over the past 10 years to our members, and $59 million since we were founded in 1939. As always, I want to reiterate that our board of directors, co-op employees, and myself work for you. That includes advocating for this cooperative and all the cooperatives across the country on a national and state level. We work with members of Congress as well as federal agencies in supporting legislation to improve our members' quality of life. Myself and 2 directors, you're going to hear from Buddy Haston here in a minute. Myself and 2 directors sit on the board of Arkansas Electric Cooperative Corporation. That's the corporation that Buddy runs. From the other 16 co-ops, there are 16 of us that are on that board. We work with Buddy and his team to formulate long-term plans to keep power costs in check in this challenging economy and the ever-increasing demand for electricity. And Buddy's got a very good presentation he's going to get to here in a little bit, and I think you're going to be very much informed about what's going on that front. Feedback from our membership is that we're doing a great job. We received handwritten notes, emails, Facebook messages thanking these linemen for getting the lights back on, or just the normal day-to-day work that they do after a storm or on a good day. And our member service reps for helping with a new service or heat pump loan or whatever they might help with, but we do get those. And the positive interactions with our employees and our members is what makes me very proud. But we don't just rely on anecdotal evidence. We also survey our membership to see how satisfied they are with us. That data helps us see what areas can be improved. For decades, we've done this, and we've outperformed our national electric cooperative average on the ACSI score, as well as the investor-owned and the municipal averages. So we're proud to do that. To continue to improve, I'd like to hear from you if we fall short. All you have to do is contact us, and we'd love to hear from you. You can call our main phone line, send an email to info@naeci.com. You can call me 24/7. If you want my cell phone, holler at me after this meeting. I'll be glad to give it to you. You can call me anytime, and we'll listen, and we will serve you every day. As we get into this meeting, I will say this. What does disappoint me is when a vocal minority really doesn't give us the opportunity to address their concerns first. I think, sadly, that's a sign of the times when they don't come to us, when they don't come to me, or when on social media they put forth purposefully inflammatory, inaccurate, and blatantly false rhetoric directed at the co-op, at the board, at our employees, there's a way to handle situations, and that's not it. We're here to serve you, and we're here to talk to you all the time. I stand by the integrity of the information that we share with our members, and we've got a variety of channels where we share information. NAECI.com, Arkansas Living. We have pages in the center spread of the Arkansas Living magazine, the Messenger bill insert. We've got a Facebook page. And I encourage members with questions about any co-op issue to come directly to the source. Give us the opportunity to answer. It's sad how often one person's comments, whether intentionally or unintentionally, are false, can sow division and create strife through these malicious imitator websites. Please consider the source before assuming what you read is always the truth. But again, I want to reiterate, come to us. That's why we're here. That's why we're here today. We're in the offices every day. If you've got issues, we're ready to solve them, and we're ready to tell you anything that you need. So my goal for you today is to hear what our staff has to say. We've got a great presentation lined up for you, and you're going to get a glimpse, pardon me, you're going to get a glimpse into each department of the cooperative and how we work every day for the members. And this is also kind of a state of the cooperative update that you're going to get from Next, and you're also going to get from North Arkansas Electric. So again, we're going to go down the row here. I think we're going to start with Scott, and we're going to give you an update on your cooperative. Again, I thank you for being here. If you've got questions, we'll take them in a little bit. If you want to talk to me afterwards, I'll be here. Thank you.
Right away work, we're just keeping the power lines clear for power linemen, making sure that dead trees or trees in general don't fall on the line and cause power outages. Just coming to work knowing that not only am I helping out the guys on the line side, keeping them from having to go out at night, fix stuff, but also helping the community out.
We maintain and keep the right-of-ways cut, trimmed back, keep the vegetation from growing up into the lines. Right-of-way is essential for reliability because if all these trees continue to grow out into the wire, they'll cause outages and have you out of power and your neighbors out of power. We have to keep everything trimmed back for both the members' safety and for our safety.
What I love about my job is we have a great group of guys down here, and we all seem to jive and get along. We're here to keep our members happy and safe and their power on.
What does your dad do for work?
He fixes power lines when power lines are off.
He works on power lines, and whenever it storms, he leaves the house and helps people without electricity.
Cohen, what do Papa and Daddy do for work?
They go to the co-op and score the driver, and they do the buckets up there. Daddy's name is Michael, and he drives a bucket truck. And he also fixes everybody's power, and he's our superhero. My daddy works on the power, and it comes back on.
What does Peepaw do at work?
Helps get power back on.
Electricity.
What does Dad do for a job?
Works for the power. Right? For the power. Puts the people's power back on to be helpful.
What does Dad do for work?
He fixes poles, and he's a co-opper.
We love you, Dad.
Love you, Dad.
What does your dad do for work?
Daddy!
What do you think your daddy does for work?
Lots and lots of math. My dad works at the co-op, and he fixes poles for people.
He turns power back on for people.
My daddy works at the co-op, and he works on his computer. And work on the phone.
What does your daddy do for work?
He works on the power lines.
He helps with the company deals, and he works for the co-op.
What do Daddy and Papa do for work?
They do co-op, and they fix power lines, and they go on a team.
Annika, what does your dad do for work?
He fixes cars.
What does your dad do for work?
My dad's a lineman superintendent, so he sends jobs to the crews to make sure the lights stay on.
My dad performs energy audits and provides education to members to make sure that their energy usage is as efficient as possible.
My dad's a serviceman, and when there's storms, he doesn't come home till all the lights are back on.
What does your dad do?
My dad is a lead foreman and his crew makes sure your power stays on.
What does your pop do for work?
Answer calls.
What does your pop do for work?
He manages all the hardworking people who keep the lights on in the community.
What does your dad do for work?
He helps people get more power.
What does he do?
First off, only the power went out and a tree knocked it down. And then my power go down and then my lamp go out.
And then what did Daddy do?
He go to work when it was nighttime and he fixed the power line.
He did. So everybody had electricity?
Yeah.
My dad is the vice president of the IT department at the co-op, and he is very busy and works very hard for us, and he even works on his days off.
Can you say Dad does fiber? Good job.
What does Daddy do for work?
He works on power lines and he goes out when there's storms and the transformers and stuff. He works on poles and he helps people.
What does Daddy do for work, Blakely?
Help people when the lights are out.
What does Potts do for work?
Computers.
Computers? What do you do for work?
Turn the power on.
What does your dad do for work?
Bucket trucks. Dad works at the co-op.
My dad works at the co-op so he can fix trucks for the linemen to fix the poles.
Well, it doesn't get much better than that. That kind of shows you the reason why we all come to work. It's for our families and it's for our members and for our fiber subscribers, and that's so we can make our communities better. I'm Scott Hamby. I'm Chief Operating Officer of Next. First, I'd like to welcome everyone here today. I believe most are familiar with Next and our story, but if not, we're a subsidiary of North Arkansas Electric, and we provide the fiber internet and phone to 7 counties here in our region. Just a little bit about our organization. We have 16 full-time employees. That consists of 5 fiber techs, 7 CSRs, 1 broadband tech, 1 network manager, a director of marketing and business strategy, and myself. With those 16 employees, we manage roughly 22,000, just above 22,500 subscribers. While I'm on the topic of employees, and I reiterate this to our folks all the time, but I truly believe that if you're going to have the best company and the best products, you have to have the best employees. And here at Next in NAC, I believe that we truly have the absolute best employees in the business. And I want to just take a moment to thank each and every one of you for what you do here for us, because even without the co-op linemen, engineering, finance, HR, operations, and everything that goes on, and all of us working as one big team, we absolutely would not be the best here. And that's on both sides of the house. So thank y'all for that. And member services. Sorry, Leah. So it's kind of hard to imagine, but we are celebrating a milestone this year. Next was officially founded a decade ago. That's right. We've been in business for 10 years now. A little bit of backstory is, whoops. Yeah, I kind of got a little, let me get my slides going here. I got to multitask. So a little bit of backstory to that 10 years goes back to the, even as early as probably 2008, 2009, 2010 timeframe, they were kind of talking about fiber and what the benefits to the cooperative could be.
But in the years of 2013 to 2015, the dream kind of began. They started talking hot and heavy about what to do and, considering if fiber was right for our membership. In 2016, Next was born and the company was officially registered. By December of 2016, the first subscribers were turned up. And this was during a pilot program that was started in order to prove the viability of the product. So they just didn't go all willy-nilly. They started this pilot project and set out to prove if this was viable before they started spending money on it. In 2018, with approximately 750 subscribers, the project was determined to be viable and the board gave their approval for full deployment. And then in December of 2018, the first employees were hired. In January of 2019, full-scale deployment started. As some of you may remember, it didn't go perfectly at first, but soon we were off and running. In 2021, Senator Bozeman visited us and praised the work that co-ops are doing around the state in order to bring meaningful internet to their members. And he especially praised the work we were doing here at NAEC and Next to bring meaningful internet to our approximately 31,000 cooperative members. In 2023, Next was named Business of the Year in both Mountain Home and Salem. It was a great honor for such a new business, and we still today strive to provide the same world-class service to each and every one of our subscribers. In 2024, we reached another major milestone. We made it to 20,000 subscribers, and we were happy to award our 20,000th subscriber with free internet for life. And one that's really big and that we're super proud of is our Fuel the Future initiative. And I'll try not to steal all of Courtney's thunder here, but I do want to talk about this one a little bit. This was really based upon a need that came to our attention from the area schools and that kids were perhaps running short on lunch money and they didn't have food on the weekends or perhaps didn't have the school supplies they needed. And while many schools had free lunches and some had grants for school supplies, they didn't have everything they needed. So we implemented a program to provide $1,000 to every school in our footprint. That's 12 school districts. So the money was earmarked for one of three things. First, it could be spent on past due lunch balances. Second, it could be spent on school supplies. But one that's really near and dear to our hearts is it could be spent on the backpack program. And what the backpack program is, if you're not aware, is every Friday, kids that are signed up on the backpack program are sent home with a backpack full of snacks and food. And in some cases, as hard as it is to believe, that is the only food those children have for that entire weekend. And so with this program, it's enabling, most schools had a backpack program, but it was kind of underfunded. So it's enabling them to have just a little extra money to send those kids home with a little extra food. And especially proud this year that we were able to partner with a few other local businesses of FNBC, Danfoss, Lakeview Auto, and Century Bank of the Ozarks. And with their help, we're able to increase those donations to almost $15,000 this year. And we hope to take it even further next year. And today, we're here serving customers across 3,600 miles of fiber, and we have actually just above 22,600 subscribers. These are just a few pictures from some of those moments that we just discussed and some of the things that were going on during that time. And these slides kind of show a progression over the last 3 years of our subscriber counts. You can see in 23, we had 19,400 roughly. In 24, 21, almost 300. And ended 25 with 22,400. And year to date, we're at 22,640 some odd subscribers. To really put this into perspective, Next is now currently serving 73% of the membership. That is of the individual members themselves. There are, as far as locations, we're at roughly 67% of locations. A lot of those are barns, rodeo arenas, chicken houses, you name it. Maybe they don't need service. But as far as the membership is concerned, we're serving 73%, and that's an outstanding take rate. Things that are currently going on at Next and what's new. We're currently offering outdoor long-range Wi-Fi. We're starting to get lots of takers on that, especially folks with large backyards, pools, maybe lake homes, other things. Wi-Fi 7 and beyond is on the horizon. Multi-gig residential services up to 10 gig will be started this year. We'll start deploying select locations late in the year with full-scale deployment starting in the next few years afterwards. Next, we'll continue to evolve as the world evolves around us. We do not intend to sit still. And with that, I'd just like to thank you for your time, and I thank you for choosing us to provide you with the next best thing since electricity, and that is Next high-speed internet. So I'll pass you off to Courtney Varner, our Director of Marketing and Business Development.
Good morning. I wanted to start with this slide right here because these are the people that we serve. This is why Next was created, not for numbers on a spreadsheet, but for the people. To make sure that no matter how far out you live, you have the same opportunity to connect, to learn, to grow a business, and to be able to stay close to the ones that you love and have the best quality of life. And wherever you are, we're easy to find. So wanted to show you all the different areas where you can find us online. On social media, we're on Facebook, Instagram, Google, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And come see us in person. We have offices in Mountain Home, Salem, and Ash Flat. We're out in the community at Christmas parades, festivals, ball games, school events, county fairs, you name it. And you can also tune into local radio at KTLO or visit mynextfiber.com. Wanted to show you just a few of the fun ads that we're doing. This is an example of YouTube. We like to keep them light and memorable because we want people to smile and remember the name Next whenever they think about their internet. But behind every one of these ads is a serious goal. We're still working to reach every single person out there in our service area who needs us. So share them, tag a neighbor, and send anyone who needs us to mynextfiber.com.
You got a problem? Need a quick fix? Do you have internet that's acting all goofy? No need to worry. We're there in a hurry because Next high-speed internet is all about speed. It's not just what we put in the wires. We've got a team that's quicker than a hiccup. Real human beings. Arkansas folks. And they go to work when your internet breaks. Fast answers, fast fixes, speedy local pros. They're the kind of people you actually want to work with. And all you got to do is call Next high-speed internet. Woo-hoo! Somebody will pick up right here in Arkansas and you'll get taken care of. We know your town. We know your roads. And we probably know your cousin Randy. That's real deal hometown customer service. And you'll find it at mynextfiber.com. Woo-hoo! Fiber optic internet from folks who actually give a hoot. mynextfiber.com. I'll see you there. I'm already there. Woo-hoo!
Told you I wanted it to be memorable. So now I want to talk about the subscriber experience. For us, the subscriber experience is everything that happens after we connect you. It's not just fast internet. It's how easy we are to do business with. It's how quickly we answer when you need us and how we treat you like a neighbor instead of an account number. It means local people answering the phone, user-friendly tools like our apps that put you in control, and support that shows up when you need us the most. And it's something that we measure closely, and we do this through retention and satisfaction surveys, the feedback that you give us, so we can keep raising the bar. And this slide here shows the offerings that we have. So all the service that we offer at Next, we have 3 internet packages. We go from 100 meg, 300 meg to 1 gig. We have a wireless gateway router service. We have a Wi-Fi extender, and then also now an outdoor Wi-Fi extender. And then we also have phone service. So we have a basic residential rate there. And if you're a business, we offer business pricing as well. And we have lots of different dedicated options and things like that. This is a little bit deeper look at our offerings. The 3 options here for internet, we have the Always On Pro, which is our gig package. This is our top tier, built for remote professionals, gamers, creators. Think running a house full of smart devices, which if you have a newer house or have bought new appliances recently, you know how many things have Wi-Fi built into them. Lag-free online gaming, things like that. The connected crews are 300 meg package. This is the middle tier. If you want a little bit more than 100, but not quite a gig, we have an option there. And then the independent explorer. So that's our 100 meg package. If you're on a fixed income or you're somebody that only checks their email and you're not online too often, that we have this package available for you there. And no matter which plan you choose, our wireless gateway router service is just $6.95 a month. So your whole home is covered with threats, viruses, anything like that. So we definitely recommend that. We have 2 apps that are in the App Store. Next, powered by NIEC, which is our bill pay and trouble ticket app. So if you need to pay your bill or need to report an outage, this is the app that you would use. And we have a Next IQ app now that's our managed Wi-Fi control app. It does lots of really neat things. So if you have kiddos at home, you want to limit how often they're on the internet or what time they go to bed, things like that. You can build each individual in your home in here to where they have different permissions on different websites, things like that. So this one's really handy. We're happy to share that our retention rate is 98.7%. So that means only 1.3% of our subscribers are disconnecting, which we're really proud of that. Within that 1.3%, you can see the disconnect reasons are led by people that are moving at 41% and non-pays at 26%. And it goes down from there with just smaller shares of people that are changing ownership, switching providers, or no longer using their internet. Our Net Promoter Score climbed from last year at 84 to this year to date, it's at 91. It's far above the industry average, which is between 2 and 15%. So that's another metric that we're really excited about. Our new subscriber surveys, I just wanted to show here how many people actually completed surveys. Last year we had 358. This year so far we've had 162. So we definitely encourage you, if you have feedback, fill out those surveys. They're sent after somebody connects, and then they're sent annually to the rest of our subscribers. So we definitely encourage you to fill those out. This slide here is the heart of who we are, and it's the why behind Next. Next was never just about laying fiber or selling internet. We were created to invest right back into the communities we serve and call home. We invest in our schools and our kids because the next generation deserves every opportunity to learn and grow. And we stand with our neighbors and our community when it matters most, because taking care of each other is what us small communities do. Our Fuel the Future initiative is, like Scott said, something we're also really proud of. It's our commitment to invest directly into the students, families, and schools right here in our community. We believe no child should go without the basics they need to learn and thrive. So the photos you see here are real moments. Our team out in the schools and in the neighborhoods working alongside teachers, families, and local partners to make a difference. And like he mentioned, as we grow, this is a promise that we intend to keep growing right along with us. So each year, we're going to continue to offer this to businesses to help support us and partner with us. So hopefully we can keep growing these funds. A decade of momentum, from a dream in 2013 to almost 23 subscribers and counting. We're proud that our strongest metric is loyalty. A 98.7% retention rate shows the confidence that you've placed in us and the service experience we've worked hard to deliver. There's still room to serve, so our work isn't finished, but we would like to thank you for your time, your support, and for joining us today. And now I'm going to turn it over to James Woody, Vice President of Operations.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm going to give us an update on the operations of North Arkansas Electric Cooperative. We serve, obviously, lots of membership across several counties, 5,000 miles of line, around 30 substations. So we've got a lot of infrastructure in place. And my department is tasked to construct, operate, maintain those facilities. So we'll give you a breakdown of what's been going on since the last annual meeting that we reported last year. So you see here, this graph shows the makeup of my department. You can see the main line share of it is linemen. And we saw some good testimonies from the families of those folks earlier. Also have a good portion of right-of-way workers as well. and they make up about 16% of our employees in this department. And you see the other shares deal with supply chain of materials. We need materials brought in to do these projects and to maintain the system. And we have a very good supply chain team in place, as well as dispatchers and supervision and mechanic shops to help us keep things going. I'll kind of go into some of our workload that's been done since the last year. First off, we have the service orders. These would be service orders that are generated by the membership or by people having connects, disconnects, or lighting issues, testing that needs to be done. You can see this graph shows a large number of disconnects. Part of that is the way our software shows office changes. So those numbers look a little bit skewed, but you can see that there's quite a few service orders that are completed on an annual basis. Work orders deal with actual construction of the line, extending the line to your homes or modifying the line that's out there to your homes. Also, some types of staking type work orders that aren't actually capital projects, but maybe just a service or a meter base installation. These are in these numbers here. Along with this, we take pride in being able to serve our membership 24/7. So we take pride in the fact that, I think Courtney mentioned it, we're here local. We're here every day. You can come to our office, contact us anytime that you need. And we have processes in place in our department to serve you 24/7, 365 days a year. When we get into stormy seasons of our weather patterns here in the areas we live, everybody knows we have certain outage times, and sometimes we have major storms. This particular picture here was from one of the tornadoes that we had in recent years. Very weather dependent. This shows outages that we've experienced over the last few years, and you can see spikes. January, for instance, the orange bar graph shows a large spike. That was a snowstorm we had in 2023. The green bar in May is a 2024 tornado. So you see how those things affect us in the number of outages. This is a normal graph without the major events. And you can see that on average, we have around 265 outages a year that we have to deal with in the field. And not only in the field, but in the offices and serving you members that are having issues, making sure your power gets back on. And we do that by keeping personnel on call. We have a process in place to do that, and then be able to call people in, even on mutual aid if we need assistance from other cooperatives around the state, around the country. And internally, that takes a support staff in dispatch, supply chain, member services, and other areas to make all this work. We do have a 24/7 dispatch center that is fully staffed to help not just be there to answer calls, but to help to serve our employees that are in the field and make sure that we're safe in everything that we're doing and have the right information in the field. This shows a spread of those outages from last year, and you see a large portion of them are from small animals. Those tend to be small outages. They may just be individuals. The larger outages come from tree issues or equipment failure that we may have, the weather events that we may have. This shows on average, if you're a member without power, on average, you'll probably be out of power 101 minutes, which is about an hour and 40 minutes. The way we have our process in place, our employees have to live within 30 minutes of our office to be able to respond, and then have to have time to get to these outages. And so we are constantly working on this to try to reduce this time. But we feel like this is a good time of response to be able to get these outages restored. Along with all this miles of line that we have to maintain and construct and operate, we have to maintain the right-of-ways too. And this is a large effort every year. So the report I'll show today shows this historical graph. You can see that costs have increased in this area over the last several years. You see that, from 2020 on, we've seen a cost increase from inflation, and that was extended into 24 and 25. This large spike in 26 is because we've taken on additional mileage to try to mitigate some areas that needed some right-of-way work done. And so there's some additional mileage in that year and time frame. In 2025, we completed just over 600 miles and removed over 3,000 trees in this operation. So you can imagine trying to go through and do that in a systematic way. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of manpower. And I'm thankful that we've been able to do it and without very many injuries, without very many issues. So we're striving to do this to serve you, to keep your power reliable, and to make sure that any other issues, such as wildfire issues because of our climate changing, other things like that, are taken care of. In addition to the trimming of the right-of-way, we also have a herbicide program, which generally is applied after we've trimmed the line, and probably it has a couple of years of growth on that. We will come back through and provide treatment to those areas to keep the floor growth down in those areas. And as I mentioned earlier, we have supply chain, all these materials coming into the cooperative to help us to construct and maintain these facilities. This shows our total inventory over a number of years. You can see we had a spike in 21, which was during our fiber build out, but as you see, it's come down. The levels we're at now help us to maintain a healthy inventory. As you've seen in my presentation, outages are paramount sometimes, and so having materials on hand is key to be able to serve you and keep your power reliable. And so we have done that through this program. I'm proud of these folks. They keep a very tight ship on the materials, and it helps us to know the materials we have on hand at any moment and be able to react to the market if we have, fluctuations in the market and need to adjust our inventory levels. So I'd like to thank you for allowing us to serve you in the communities. Like I said, we strive to maintain a local presence that you can count on, and we take pride in being able to do this even in the hard times when the weather's bad and you need us in the middle of the night, whatever time it is. So please feel free to give us feedback if you have suggestions on how we can serve you better. And I thank you, and I'll turn it over to Jason Strong, Vice President of Engineering.
Good morning. I'd like to start off by just giving you a small background on the engineering department. We have 16 employees. We have 4 electrical engineers, 3 with PE, professional engineering license, and 1 with a master electrician's license. We have 4 staking technicians, 6 engineering technicians, an engineering coordinator, and a GIS or fiber design technician. James mentioned this a little bit, but to give you a little scope of our system, we have 5,000 miles of distribution line, which is over 100,000 poles. We have 149,000 miles of transmission line that we own and operate. We have 30 substations. And in addition to the electric, as you heard from Scott, we've also installed 3,600 miles of fiber, which is also used to communicate to downline devices on the electric system, as well as used for the fiber to the home customers. And we've also done approximately 25,000 fiber drops. And to give you an idea, we're still doing quite a few fiber drops. We've done 2,250 of those just in 2025 and 2026 year to date. This bar graph kind of shows what we refer to as the ASAI, or Average System Availability Index. And what that does is it's telling you at the time that a member requests service or he turns the light switch on, what percentage of the time does the electricity actually come on. And you can kind of see in 2025, that number was 99.85. So 99.85% of the time when service was requested, it was available. So we're proud of that. We try to make that better all the time. Obviously, similar to what James said, major storms does have a large effect on that. Then last year, we talked a little bit at annual meeting on these large transformers. We have these 30 substations, and they've all got, large transformers that are in there. And we've ended up having about 5 of those that we've purchased in the last 5 years, and for a couple of different reasons. One, we had a couple that just failed and were not able to be repaired. And we've got a couple that failed and we're planning on repairing them. But in the meantime, we had to order some new ones to kind of upsize the size of the transformer. And we're going to use the ones we repaired another substation. And then we had one new one that we put in a new substation. But to give you an idea, the last one that we purchased, it ended up costing over $1 million for those transformer. So they are very expensive, and the lead times on them, especially during the COVID time frame since then, they've gotten up to 4 years. So they're very, very important to our system. And like I said, we do take those pretty serious, but they're pretty large investment. And to give you an idea, approximately, back in 2010, that same transformer cost around $250,000. So they definitely come up a lot in price. And just giving you a little bit of idea on some other equipment that we purchase, 2025 and year-to-date 2026 on our metering side, we've spent just a little under $1 million on meters. That's the residential meter you see at your house. That would be included in that cost. We've spent about $9,000 in reclosers, $11,000 on breakers, and then the transformer that's at each residential or commercial account, we've spent about $1.6 million. Regulators about $65,000. So the total amount of special equipment that we've spent is about $2.7 million, and about 10 years ago, that was about $1 million. So you can kind of see how much things have increased over the last few years. I'd like to talk just a little bit about some capital improvement projects. Obviously, capital improvement projects are pretty important to your system just to make sure that you're maintaining the system and you're able to continue to serve your members. So in our Salem substation, we've actually replaced both those transformers and added breakers. And I've got some pictures of that here in just a minute. So that was a pretty big job. We had to redo the steel, and to do all that while you're still serving load out of those substations is obviously a real challenge. So that's something that, you don't think about having to do, but it is something that's, very important to our membership to keep their power on as we're doing these modifications or upgrades. Another one, line rebuild that we did, it was the transmission line. It was 11 mile. Then that's between North Fork and Pineville. And that was at a cost of about $8 million. And then we started another transmission line, and we just actually started it a few weeks ago. And it was from Pineville to Brockville, and it's about 11.3 mile, and it's going to estimate to cost around $9 million. And we have several other upgrades to substations that are across our system, that are just smaller. This is just kind of a picture of a setting of one of the large transformers I was talking to you about there in our Salem substation. And then this is a picture of the steel modifications and the breaker addition that we added in that same substation. This is a picture of the North Fork to Pineville transmission line that we upgraded. You can see that we upgraded it to a larger voltage, bigger conductors, steel structures. But you can also tell in this picture that, not all of our territory is super flat. It's potentially very rocky, so it's not easy terrain to build line and maintain. Additionally to those capital projects, we also have completed 699 new services or increased capacity work orders for our members. That's where a member would be requesting us to do a new service or increase capacity. And then we also had right under 1,500 pole replacements. And this is much higher than we've seen in the past, and that's mostly due to the fact that our wood poles are failing at a higher rate than they have in the past. And so we're going to continue to see more pole replacements in the future than we have in the past for sure. And we've rebuilt several miles of single phase to three phase, just trying to make sure that our system continues to grow as our members grow and request services on different parts of our territory. Just talking about major storms, we were kind of blessed that we haven't, since our last annual meeting, had what we classify as a major storm. Now, I will tell you that if we do have major storms, we do have, similar to what James said, we have relationships with other cooperatives and contractors to make sure that, we can bring those people in as we need to be able to make sure that your fiber and your electric is restored as quickly as possible. So I'd like to thank you guys for the opportunity to speak to you today. And I'm going to turn it over to Joey Hall, the Vice President of Information Technology.
Good morning, everybody. For the second consecutive year, you will get one slide from me. So enjoy this break. This is my 27th annual meeting within AEC, and I'm very proud to be here representing our IT department. We've got 3 full-time employees, and this year we have an intern we're very proud to have. All 4 of us, we grew up within 20 miles of the Salem office. We're all local. We've been here our whole lives. Collectively, we have 66 years of experience in the cooperative IT field, and I joke around and say that's well over 100 years experience in any other industry. I promise you there's been a lot of changes that we've seen. I do believe that experience is one of our greatest strengths, and it supports the reliability that our members expect out of us. The IT department is responsible for ensuring that NAEC's business processes operate efficiently, securely, and without interruption. From the frontline systems in the office to the software and hardware out in the field supporting field operations, the role of the IT department is to enable every department to perform at their highest level. Cybersecurity remains one of our most critical priorities. Electric cooperatives across the country are constantly being targeted by both foreign and domestic threats. In this environment, staying current with evolving technologies and security practices is not optional. It is essential. We continue to invest in modern security tools and, just as importantly, in our people. Last year, we implemented a cybersecurity training program to engage every employee with new topics every 2 weeks. The purpose of this is to reinforce that protecting our systems and data is a shared responsibility across the entire organization. Every person takes a part. We're currently undergoing a software conversion to change all of our core systems to a more modern, more efficient platform. Leah will speak more to what our members can expect out of this, but this conversion affects each and every employee in our organization. I've been very proud of the teamwork it's taken to get this project close to completion. We are on the downhill side of this. And like it or not, artificial intelligence is here, guys. It's just a way of life. We're going to have to adopt the technology safely and practically. We've begun exploring ways to implement AI to benefit our employees, but more importantly, our membership. Beyond internal operations, IT continues to play a vital role in supporting our field personnel. Advanced tools, real-time data access, electronic maps, and outage management systems allow our crews to respond more quickly and diagnose issues more accurately, whether during routine operations or during severe weather events. These capabilities ultimately improve both efficiency and safety. At the end of the day, everything we do in IT supports a single mission. It's enable our employees to better serve our members. Whether it's for keeping the systems online, securing sensitive member information, or equipping crews with the tools you need, our goal is to help ensure that the lights come on when you flip your light switch and everyone goes home at the end of the day safely. I'd like to thank y'all for your support. Thank you very much for being here. It is my honor to be able to represent North Arkansas Electric today. Thank you. And I'll turn it over to Leah Rouse, Vice President of Member Services.
Thank you, Joey. Good morning, everyone.
NAEC and Member Services, it's been my professional home for nearly 30 years. And I can honestly say that every day has been a rewarding one. A big part of that is the people I work with. My coworkers, they're more than colleagues. They are my friends and an extension of my family. Over the years, I've developed a deep appreciation for the cooperative business model and the values it represents. I'm proud to be a part of an organization that is continually working to make communities we serve better places to live, work, and raise a family. At North Arkansas Electric Cooperative, our members always come first. That commitment is never more evident than during challenging times. I often think back to the ice storm of 2009 when almost the entire system was without power. It was a difficult and unforgettable time for our communities, but it was also a powerful reminder of who we are as a cooperative. Watching our members work tirelessly to restore service and support our members during that crisis made me incredibly proud. Moments like those reinforce why I'm honored to be part of such an exceptional organization. And after nearly 3 decades, I remain grateful for the opportunity to serve our members and work alongside such dedicated people every day. The Member Services Department consists of 20 employees, including myself. Those 20 employees represent over 380 years of experience in the cooperative industry. Our Member Services team is second to none. Their knowledge, responsiveness, and commitment to serving our members is exceptional. They don't just do their jobs well, they take ownership of every member concern. Of the 20 employees that are employed full-time in Member Services, we process approximately 500,000 bills and member payments each year. And we're proud of the fact that we have multiple payment methods. You have the IVR, which is the automated phone system. You can pick up the phone and call a member service representative. We have automatic bank draft, draft by debit or credit card. We have the mobile app, payments through our online portal. You can mail in your payment, you can walk in your payment, and you can drive through the drive-through. That's a lot of options, and that's just another way that we try to make things convenient for our members. One of the most valuable programs that NAEC offers is its Rural Energy Savings Program, also known as RESP loans. We provide 1% interest loans to approved members for energy efficiency improvements to their home. In 2025, we loaned $664,048 in the form of 62 RESP loans to NAEC members. Efficiency measures include heat pumps, whether they're geothermal or air source, added insulation, replacing doors and windows, and much more. Along with loans, we provide energy audits at no charge to our members and give members recommendations on how to improve the energy efficiency of their home. In 2025 alone, we completed 53 energy audits with our members. We also address high bill complaints from members and do our very best to determine the cause of high usage. That said, we understand economic struggles faced by our members, and we work with members on extensions and delayed payments. We have a great working relationship with the LIHEAP agencies in our area that help members with their bills. In 2025, NADC and Ozark Opportunities contributed more than $400,000 towards member electric bills. Now, you may have seen some recent information regarding our upcoming software conversion, like Joey said. We put some information in the Messenger in Arkansas Living and on social media. Every member will see a new bill design after their August statement, along with everybody getting new account numbers. We will continue to offer all the same payment options as we do now. And one of the great benefits of the new software is Smart Hub, which is the name of the app and online portal. It's much more user-friendly than our current system. Members can log into more than one membership, add additional accounts to a login, and store multiple cards and bank accounts for payments. So please be on the lookout for additional communications regarding the conversion, especially via email and social media posts that go into detail about how to set up your account online. We're extremely excited about the new system and looking forward to the benefits it provides our members. As we wrap up the member services update, I want to thank each of you for being more than just customers. You are member owners. That distinction is what makes the cooperative different. Every service we provide, every improvement we make, and every decision we consider is guided by what's best for our members we serve. Your membership, it means your voice matters, your participation matters, and your investment stays focused on strengthening the cooperative and the communities we all call home. Together, we are able to provide reliable service, support one another through challenges, and build for the future. Thank you for your trust, your engagement, and your continued commitment to your cooperative. And now I'm going to turn it over to Tori Moss, and she's going to talk about all the fun things we do in member services.
Good morning. I do love talking and bragging about my coworkers and the work that we do in our communities. And I'm also going to share how we communicate with our members, our different channels for that. Now, of the 7 cooperative principles, the 2 that I am involved with most often are education, training, and information, as well as concern for community. We have several programs that educate our members as well as their children on electric safety. Magician Scott Davis brings his Making Accidents Disappear electric safety show to elementary age students throughout our territory each year. Thousands of students in our local area now know to stop, look, and think when they are dealing with electricity. He teaches them it's a tool, and like any tool, it can be harmful if you don't use it safely. And then we also have NAEC's Tabletop Electric Safety Village. That is for elementary age students too, and it tells them ways to stay safe inside and outside the home. The guys use Neon Leon and Lightning Liz to show what not to do for students. We also have a high voltage safety trailer demonstration. Chris Waltrip is giving a demonstration a few years ago in this photo at Baxter Health, but we share that demo mainly with first responders and students. It shows firsthand the dangers of coming into contact with energized lines, and I need to give them a shout out because Chris Waltrip and a lot of the operations personnel have worked on our own safety trailer, and it's debuting any day now. We previously have borrowed that trailer from our statewide co-op, and we're very thankful for that. But now we'll have our own NAEC branded trailer to take to even more schools and community events. So I'm a little excited. And then we also bring, in addition to electric safety programming, we participate in several of our schools' STEM events and career events. Here are just 2. On the left, they're checking out the infrared camera that our energy advisors use on energy audits, and that's at ICC. And then on the right is at Mountain Home, and they're testing out some of the personal protective equipment and tools that our line and right-of-way personnel use in the field. The rubber gloves and sleeves and stuff are always a hit. And I have a cowboy hard hat. Beat that. Also, we support our community events in other ways. We participate in our county fairs, festivals, and nonprofit fundraisers. In this photo, Chris and Mike are grilling hot dogs at the Fulton County Fair Kids Day. We have sponsored that for several years. We also bring Scott Davis in all the time for that. And then for some of our other events, on the left here are Abby and Vanis, Amanda and Rosella. They're at the Mountain Home Trunk or Treat this last year. And then on the right are several of our employees who read in honor of Dr. Seuss at Mountain Home Kindergarten. Now, as I shared earlier, concern for community is one of the cooperative principles that NAEC and all other cooperatives follow. We gave more than $76,000 to local schools and organizations in 2025. Groups we supported continually include law enforcement agencies, school districts, athletic programs and clubs, chambers of commerce, summer ball programs, Ozarka College and ASU Mountain Home, the Spring River Innovation Hub, Baxter Health and its support houses, area fireworks displays, Ozark Gateway Tourist Council, the Food Bank of North Central Arkansas, and many more. Our single largest outreach effort, though, as Mel mentioned earlier, is our Soul Power project. Last fall, we bought 855 pairs of shoes, athletic shoes, for third graders at our 12 public school districts. I don't know if co-op employees or the students enjoy the delivery days more. You can't not smile. It's amazing. A great way to develop local students into future community leaders is the Electric Cooperative Youth Tour. NAEC sends 4 students on the all-expense paid trip each June. They join other Arkansas co-op teenagers for a week of exploring the monuments and memorials and museums. Now, in this photo, Trinity, Belle, Malachi, and AJ, they just returned last week from Youth Tour. And as a plug, next year's Youth Tour, if you have any high school juniors in your life, the application will be online at naeci.com by February 1st. Please encourage them to apply. It's billed as the trip of a lifetime, and I know that sounds like hyperbole, but it's not. Let's see here. We just as a side note, because we are so local, we know a lot of the students who apply, and to make it fair on all of the applicants, we pull 2 fellow electric co-op employees from outside of our service area who know no one, just to make it fair for all the applicants. Now, another way that we support students is through the Operation Roundup Scholarship Program. Members who want to help students can agree to round up their electric bill to the next dollar each month, and that averages about $6 a year. The money goes into the Operation Roundup Trust, and it is awarded to students for scholarships and nonprofit organizations as grants. The 5 members who volunteer on the Operation Roundup Board of Trustees decided scholarship recipients in May. They awarded 20 scholarships this year. 3 of those students, 1 from each of our districts, they were awarded a recurring scholarship. So they will get $1,000 for up to 4 years. And the remaining 17 students received a one-time $1,000 donation. Thank you to all of the members who support Operation Roundup. We really appreciate it, and it lets us help even more students. And if you want to, and you're not, or if you don't know if you are or not, please see me after the meeting, or stop by any of our offices or call our number. Now, moving on to communications methods, we have the messenger. This is the insert in every bill each month. We use it to share energy efficiency information, electric safety information on upcoming events or programs and services. We've most recently used it to share information about the upcoming billing software change. And similarly, we have Arkansas Living magazine that goes to all of our members. And if you look in the center pages of that, that is content specific to NAEC. We also have been promoting our billing software change there. But here, just a shout out to the 2 winners of our recent patriotic photo contest. This is a preview of what your July issue members you'll receive shortly. We're very happy for all the people who submitted to that contest, students and adults, and these are our winners. Now, the archives of the Messenger and Arkansas Living Center pages are hosted on naeci.com, and the website includes all sorts of other information as well on our programs and services. And it also has a link to our current portal where members can pay their bill, view their usage, and report an outage. Keep in mind, come August, that will be changing over to SmartHub, as Leah mentioned. I'm very excited about that as well, because I consider it a much more user-friendly option than our current program. And another way that we keep members informed is through our Facebook page. The link for that is facebook.com/NorthAR Electric. We share electric safety information, energy efficiency information, as well as updates during widespread outages and information on upcoming events. Please, though, do not report your outage via Facebook. It is not connected to the dispatcher on duty, and I sometimes sleep. so I don't want to miss your outage report. So you can report an outage through our 3 methods, the mobile app. The outage viewer has a form on the webpage if you go through naeci.com. And then also you can call our main line there. Now, in closing, I just want to thank you for your time this morning and letting me share about our awesome community outreach. And I'm going to turn it over to Lacey Johnson. She's our Vice President of HR.
Thank you, Tori. Good morning, everyone. I'm honored today to give you an update on the human resources activities for both the NAEC and NEX organizations. We have a total of 143 employees combined, and the breakdown of that is 127 on the NAEC side and 16 on the NEX side. Over the past year, we had 5 retirements. We also had 15 internal promotions, so that's movement upward from within the organization, so we're always proud to see that. Looking at the length of service at all of our employees in the organization, you'll see that we have a nice distribution across all categories. We have 24% that have been here 5 years or less, 23% 6 to 9 years, 16% 10 to 19 years, 25% 20 to 29 years. That's a large chunk there. 11% 30 to 39 years, and 1% that's 40 years or more. So that creates a nice mix of experience and fresh ideas to best serve our members. We're pleased to see that. And looking at the average length of service across the organization, it's actually 15 years, which is quite high. We're happy to see that, and it really speaks to what a great place this is to work. In April, we partnered with the Arkansas Statewide Safety and Missouri Statewide Safety Associations to host a hazard recognition class for fiber employees. The purpose of this session was to provide general awareness and training focused on identifying potential hazards when working in areas where electrical infrastructure may be present. We had a great turnout for that. We had 30 attendees approximately, and 9 out of the 14 Arkansas co-ops that have fiber subsidiaries were represented there. So it was a great class held over 3 days at the Mountain Home office. We really enjoy celebrating our employees who reach milestone employment anniversaries during our fall employee meetings when we can all get together. So I wanted to share some of those with you. As you can see, these are our most senior employees from a milestone perspective. 30 years, we've got a number of guys there. 40 years of service for Valerie and 45 years of service for Debbie. So that's quite amazing. Their contributions are immeasurable over the decades of service. We also recognized a number of employees who hit the 15-year, 20-year, and even the 25-year milestones. So congratulations. And we also recognized a number of folks in the 5-year category, and then a larger group in the 10-year category. So just a representation of where we're at in our organization. So congratulations to all those folks. We're also extremely proud of our military veterans that we have working here, and we take the opportunity at our employee meetings to recognize them. Each year we present them with a certificate, usually a small token of our appreciation, as well as an extra paid day off that they get to use during the year on a day of their choosing, just as a way to say thank you to them for serving our country. We're so proud to have these guys on our team. We conduct employee satisfaction surveys every other year through an outside agency called Inside Information. As you can see here, we're happy to see that 85% of our employees report being somewhat or very satisfied. So they scored 8, 9, and 10 on their the job satisfaction question. So we're very happy to see that. We do these biannually, as I mentioned, or every other year. So we're going to do those again this fall. Through our volunteer program, our employees get to choose where they'd like to spend their annual paid volunteer day each year. This year, many of our employees, our linemen, chose to donate their time at the Viola Ballpark to replace some storm-damaged ball field lighting. And this is just one example of how our employees give back to the community and how NAEC and NEXT support them in doing so. Mel had mentioned the importance of investing in our safety training. One example of that over this past year took place at the National Utility Training and Safety Education Association. That's a mouthful. They use an acronym for that, thank goodness. We had that conference take place, and we sent members of our very active safety committee. They do great work. We were honored to get to send them to that training. And that's not all. I mean, we do a few more of these as we can. And this year we had two other examples where we sent some of our linemen that are in leadership roles to the Safety Leadership Conference, and then also the SAIA, which stands for Southern Area Instructors Program, that conference as well. We're always looking for ways to help our employees stay on top of the cutting edge of emerging technologies, tools, and techniques to keep themselves and their coworkers safe, and we're proud to support them in doing so. Pages stuck here. No, one more. Oh, that's it. Okay. So with that, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to serve you as members, to be here with you this morning for this update, and to echo exactly what Joey said. It is truly my honor to be here representing North Arkansas Electric and NEXT today. And now I'd like to turn this over to Julie Haney, our CFO.
All right, good morning. I'm grateful to be here today to give you an update on the financial state of the cooperative. For those of you who know me, you know how detailed, thorough, and transparent I like to be. But I promise you, my presentation today will be much shorter than it was last year. So before I get into the details of the numbers, I'd like to give you a quick update of our finance and accounting department. I have almost 25 years of professional accounting experience, and I'm entering my 14th year with the cooperative. My professional experience ranges from external auditing to internal auditing to SEC reporting and corporate accounting. I have the pleasure of working with an awesome team of accountants with a lot of expertise in electric cooperative accounting. In fact, our small department of 6 accounting employees, including myself, has over 150 years of professional accounting experience, with 96 years being here at NAEC. Our average length of tenure in accounting is 16 years. We each have our bachelor's degree in accounting, with several of us also having our CPA licenses. My department takes immense pride in the work that we do on behalf of the membership, working with honesty and integrity every day. I'm going to dive into the 2025 financial update for the cooperative, but before spending time on the face of the financials, I want to give you a quick overview. As I mention each year, we have a financial statement audit that is performed annually, which is required by our lenders and regulators. Our 2025 audit was performed in the first quarter of 2026 by Forvis Mazars, a top 10 accounting firm. We received an unqualified or clean opinion on that financial statement audit, meaning it was free of any material misstatements and that proper controls are in place to detect any misstatements. In December 2025, RUS also performed an audit of NAEC with no findings reported. These audits occur periodically to ensure that the cooperative is financially stable, uses federal funds appropriately, and follows all contract regulations. Also in 2026, due to federal funds received of more than $1 million from FEMA reimbursement related to the May 2024 tornadoes, we also underwent what is called an A133 audit. That review looks at a sample of the expenditures submitted for FEMA for reimbursement. Out of the $1 million submitted, there was one finding where a duplicate timesheet was submitted for reimbursement in the amount of approximately $5,000. That finding was presented to the board, and the cooperative promptly took corrective action and reimbursed FEMA for that amount. No other findings were noted. On an annual basis, an annual report to our membership is mailed out to members with financial information for the previous year. Within our financials or annual report, you will see 2 divisions, the electric division and the fiber division. We evaluate both of these business divisions or segments independently for financial strength and viability, and to ensure that there are no cross subsidies between the divisions. We also evaluate them as a whole. Within the annual report, which you have recently received in the mail, we present historical financial statements for the years 2023, 24, and 25. The total margins presented in the annual report agree to our audited financials for NAEC. This slide shows NAEC's condensed statement of margins that was included in the 2025 annual report. For 2025, NAEC had total margins of $14.1 million, which include both the electric and fiber divisions. Of the $14.1 million in total margins, there were operating margins of $6.7 million. The electric division had $3.3 million of those operating margins, while the fiber division had operating margins of $3.5 million. Non-operating margins of $7.4 made up the remainder of the $14.1 million in total margins. The electric division had non-operating margins of $4.3 million, while the fiber division, which includes the next net income, had non-operating margins of $3.1 million. Total electric margins were $7.6 million, while fiber margins were $6.6 million. This graph shows total margins for NAEC and the composition of those margins between the electric and fiber divisions. In 2023, NAEC had $7.7 million in total margins, and you can see in that year, the margins from the fiber division far exceeded the margins nearly 6 times from the electric division. There was only approximately $1 million in total electric margins in 2023. In 2024, total margins were $9.8 million. Total margins from the electric division in 2024 were approximately $2.2 million, with practically all those margins coming from non-operating margins, primarily paper capital credit allocations, not cash from related entities. Total margins from the fiber division in 2024 were approximately $7.6 million, with $5.7 million derived from federal and state grants that will expire in years 2029 to 2032. In 2025, total margins were $14.1 million, like I just showed you on the previous slide. Total margins from the electric division were $7.6 million, an increase of $5.3 million over 2024 total electric margins. The majority of the increase in total electric margins is attributable to the increase in rates from 2025. Total margins from the fiber division in 2025 were approximately $6.6 million, with $4.6 million derived from federal and state grants that will expire in years 2029 to 2032. It's important to mention here that of the $7.6 million in total electric margins, only the operating margins from the electric division of $3.3 million are generated through our rates and paid by our NAEC electric members. Switch it. This graph shows total operating margins by year. These represent the margins generated by our members through our electric rates. Total operating margins are shown in green, electric division operating margins are shown in blue, and fiber division operating margins are shown in red. In 2023, NAEC had total operating margins of $3.2 million, with $4.3 million coming from the fiber division and negative $1.1 million coming from the electric division. In 2024, NAEC had total operating margins of $1.6 million, with $3.6 million coming from the fiber division and negative $2 million coming from the electric division. In 2025, NAEC had total operating margins of $6.7 million, with $3.5 million coming from the fiber division and positive $3.5 million coming from the electric division. The net impact of the rate adjustment implemented in 2025 increased operating margins for the electric division by nearly $5 million. As a result, electric operating margins improved from negative $2 million in 2024 to positive $3.3 million in 2025. This graph shows total non-operating margins by year. These are margins not generated through our electric rates. This graph breaks down non-operating margins by the following: electric division non-operating margins, capital credit allocations, and fiber division non-operating margins. Electric division non-operating margins include items such as interest income and other miscellaneous margins. Capital credit allocations consist of the paper allocation notices that are received from related entities, the largest one being AECC, our power supplier. This is not cash received, but a promise to pay in the future and recorded as an investment in income at the time we receive the allocation each year. Actual cash retired by these entities to NAEC in 2025 was only $396,000, as opposed to the $2.7 million we were required to record as income. These figures can be misleading. Fiber division non-operating margins primarily include the margins of our subsidiary Next. Total non-operating margins for 2025 were $7.4 million. $4.3 million of the $7.4 million came from the electric division, $2.7 million related to capital credit allocations, and $1.6 million related to the electric division non-operating margins, which is primarily interest income. And 3.1 of the 7.4 million in non-operating margins came from the fiber division, with almost 2.8 million relating to earnings generated by Next. This graph depicts our energy sales over the past 3 years. This represents the revenue derived from the sale of electricity to our members. I'm going to primarily compare 2025 versus 2024. For 2025, electric sales were $85.6 million and increased $11.8 million over 2024. Kilowatt hours sold increased from last year by nearly 28 million kilowatt hours for a total kilowatt hours sold of approximately 653 million kilowatt hours. Accordingly, in these graphs, you can see that the average monthly residential kilowatt hour use increased from 968 kilowatt hours in 2024 to 1,009 kilowatt hours in 2025, a 4% increase. The increase in kilowatt hours sold to our members increased our revenue year over year by approximately $3 million. Additionally, the impact to revenue due to the increase in rates in 2025 was approximately $8.6 million. The average revenue per residential kilowatt hour sold increased from 12.85 cents in 2024 to 14.17 cents in 2025, an increase of 10.3%. As I noted in the chart, typically our residential kilowatt hour use is less than 1,000 kilowatt hours per month. NAEC ranks as having one of the lowest average residential usage kilowatt hours per month in the state, 14th out of the 17 distribution co-ops, but ranks as the 5th largest distribution system in the state. I mentioned this last year, but I feel it's necessary to mention again. We sell near the least amount of kilowatt hours in the state per meter, but we have one of the largest systems. This means it costs the members more per meter. Something also to note is that we do not control the quantity of our electric energy sales. We are weather dependent and our revenue is based on usage. This slide shows the net new members by month for the years 2022 to 2025. As you can see from the graph, the net new members has trended down since 2022. In 2025, we added 155 new members, which is an increase of 0.5% in growth of our total membership. We are not a traditionally fast-growing co-op, and the impact to net revenue from the new members is minimal in any given year. This graph shows our other electric revenue over the past 3 years. This represents the revenue derived from other miscellaneous revenue and includes revenue from both the electric and fiber divisions. On the electric division, this includes miscellaneous service revenue and rent from our electric property, primarily pole attachments, while the fiber side includes rent from our fiber property. The revenue derived from the rent of our fiber property is utilized to pay for all fiber expenses. The decrease in the chart from 2025 to 2024 related to a change in the fiber lease rate due to an updated transfer pricing study performed in 2025. This graph depicts our purchase power or cost of power expenses from Arkansas Electric Cooperative Corporation over the past 3 years. This represents the direct cost of the power that was sold to our members. It primarily includes the cost of energy purchases, demand charges, fuel costs, and regional transmission organization expenses. For 2025, purchase power expenses were $43.7 million and increased by $4.3 million over the prior year. Kilowatt hour purchased increased over 28 million for total kilowatt hours purchased of approximately 694 million kilowatt hours. The average monthly cost per kilowatt hour increased from 5.93 cents in 2024 to 6.3 cents in 2025, an increase of 6.2%. The impact to our purchase power cost due to an increase in power costs in 2025 was approximately 4.2 million. For 2025, the net revenue after cost of power increased by 6.4 million over the prior year. This graph includes the major categories of our controllable expenses for NAEC, including operations and maintenance expense for our transmission and distribution system, consumer accounts expense, consumer service and informational expenses, and administrative and general expense. These controllable expenses include internal labor, contract labor, materials, transportation, benefits, insurance, amongst other items related to any of the aforementioned areas. Over the past 3 years, our controllable expenses have increased approximately 4%, 4%, and 8% respectively each year. The increase in controllable expenses of approximately $2 million from 2024 to 2025 is largely driven by an increase in operation and maintenance expense for the distribution system of $1.3 million and administrative and general expense of $834,000. The increase in maintenance expenses of the distribution system of $1.3 million was due to increased expenses in areas such as right-of-way clearing, overhead maintenance expenses, regular and major outage expenses, distribution system software and communication equipment expenses, and all the associated labor and other expenses that follow these expense categories. The increase in administrative and general expenses of $834,000 was due to increased building maintenance expense due to the April 2025 flood, software and hardware expenses, conversion expenses, and increase in labor charged to administrative and general expense categories. Despite being the 5th largest cooperative in the state, NAEC's total controllable expenses per consumer ranks 9th out of the 17 distribution co-ops in the state. This graph depicts our depreciation expenses for NAEC over the past 3 years. It also includes amortization expense on any leased assets. For 2025, depreciation expenses were $12.3 million and increased $426,000 or 4.4% over 2024. As we continue to invest in new plant and infrastructure, depreciation expense continues to rise. In 2025, NAEC made investments of approximately $22 million in new plant and fixed asset additions. This graph depicts our interest expenses over the past 3 years. Interest expense related to our electric debt is recovered through our utility rates and the cost of debt rider, while any interest expense related to fiber debt is recovered through the rental income from the fiber property. In other words, our members don't pay for interest on fiber debt through their utility rates on their bill. For 2025, interest expenses were $6 million and increased $350,000 or almost 6% over 2024. Most of this increase is due to $12 million in new electric debt borrowed in 2025 for system improvement projects. This graph depicts our provision for income taxes for the fiber division over the past 3 years. This relates to the fiber division only and is not recovered through rates, but through fiber rental income. The provision for income taxes are estimates of the taxes that we expect to pay in the future for deductions taken to defer the payment of taxes. These aren't taxes that we have paid, but estimates of taxes that may be paid in the future due to fiber operations. The biggest contributor to the decrease from the prior years relates to a reduction in depreciation taken as a deduction due to less assets put in service in 2025 versus 2023 and 2024. Our loan contracts require that we meet certain debt service covenants and maintain certain levels for those covenants. The primary debt covenant ratios include the times interest earned ratio, or TIER, operating times interest earned ratio, or OTIER, the debt service coverage ratio, or DSC, and the equity as a percentage of assets ratio. These ratios represent a measure of the cooperative's ability to repay its long-term debt using different methodologies. The calculations for each of these ratios not only includes the electric division, but also the fiber division of NAEC. However, RUS expects their borrowers to design their utility rates based on operating electric margins rather than total margins. Our most under pressure ratio is typically OTIER, with a minimum requirement of 1.1. We saw declines in this ratio in 2023 and 2024 due to rapidly declining electric operating margins, and despite the fiber division being included in these calculations. This is a snapshot of our debt service covenant calculations at December 31st at each year end. At December 31st, 2025, our equity as a percentage of assets was 36.8%. Our TIER was 3.40, our debt service coverage ratio was 2.29, and our OTIER was 2.15. Each of these ratios met the requirements in our loan contracts at year end. The increases seen in these ratio calculations in 2025 compared to 2023 and 2024 are due to the implementation of the 2025 rate increase, and our O tier is now in a much healthier position and more comparable to other cooperatives of our size and plant growth. All right, we've talked in detail about the co-op statement of margins, but I also wanted to highlight a few cash flow items for 2025. As for cash inflows, the co-op's net cash provided by operating activities was approximately $23 million for 2025, of which $2.7 million was received as FEMA reimbursement related to the May 2024 tornadoes. Additionally, we received $12 million in debt proceeds due to additional draws made on our debt facilities in 2025. As for the cash outflows, how did the co-op utilize the approximate $35 million of cash received? We invested in our utility plant to the tune of approximately $22 million. We invested in new transmission lines, new substation transformers, new circuit switchers, new poles, new services, new meters, and new transformers, in addition to a multitude of other system improvement projects. Additionally, in March 2025, we experienced tornadoes that caused damage to our utility plant and required replacement of poles, transformers, and meters of approximately $3.5 million. A FEMA disaster declaration was not issued, so federal funds for reimbursement were not made available. Remember that the cost of major storms is not a component in our rates, so that requires liquidity either through excess cash on hand or access to debt. We also gave back capital credit retirements to our members totaling approximately $6 million in 2025. The year 2000, 2001, and 2022 were retired. To retire capital credits on a 20 to 30 year cycle, we need to retire between $3.2 million and $4.8 million each year. We were financially able to make a larger retirement in 2025, which has helped us bridge the gap on years in recent history when we were unable to have larger retirements due to the strain of the early years of the fiber project. Other cash outflows include debt payments of $8.1 million that were made to our lenders during 2025. And finally, in April 2025, we experienced another event, flooding this time, that damaged our office facilities and utility plant. Damages were approximately $425,000, and we did receive $320,000 in reimbursement from FEMA from this event in 2026. All right, well, we're nearly halfway through 2026, so I wanted to give you a quick update for what's been happening through May of this year. Year-to-date, May 2026, total margins were $5 million, with $3.8 million derived from the fiber division and $1.2 million derived from the electric system. We've seen a decrease in electric sales for 2026 compared to 2025, with a decrease in kilowatt-hour sales of approximately 15 million kilowatt-hours when compared to the prior year. The average monthly residential bill for the first 5 months of 2026 was $143.95 compared to $141.62 last year, an increase of 1.6%. We have had no debt draws yet in 2026, but expect to make one in the third quarter of 2026. Finally, there will be a wholesale rate increase of approximately 2% for members that will be passed through beginning on the July 1st bills. All right, well, similar to last year, there's some uncertainties in our electric cooperative environment that we have our eye on moving into the future. First relates to FEMA reimbursement, and I've mentioned this a couple times already, but it could have a significant impact on the cooperative at any given time. So as I mentioned, FEMA did not provide assistance to any co-ops across the state for the damages related to the March 2025 tornadoes that cost the co-op more than $3.5 million. So what could be next? Worst case scenario, what if we had another 2009 event, another ice storm, and FEMA decided not to provide assistance? When the 2009 ice storm occurred, it cost the co-op more than $24 million in damages. And FEMA and the state reimbursed us for approximately $21 million or 87.5%. Obviously, if that same storm occurred today, it wouldn't just cost $24 million, but be closer to probably $33 or $35 million. And without any assistance from FEMA, our cooperative and members will be responsible for over $20 million of these costs. As I have said once today already, we don't have major storms built into our rates, only regular outages. So this is definitely a concern we have. Additionally, our outside plant is not covered by liability insurance, so we don't get insurance reimbursements. We rely on FEMA for these reimbursements. And then secondly, as I mentioned a slide ago, we are experiencing another wholesale power adjustment this year. So what will wholesale power costs continue to do in our current environment? There's definitely some uncertainty here as we look to the future. Buddy Haston, the CEO of Arkansas Electric, I'm sure we'll talk more about this in his presentation and what it means for our members. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you guys for your time and for showing up and supporting the cooperative. I'm grateful to be here.
All right. Thanks very much to the staff for the report on the cooperative. And they've all done a great job. And I appreciate the hard work that they do every day for you guys and what all these folks out here do for the cooperative and the members. Julie made mention of Buddy Haston. Buddy is here. And it's always good to get a report on what's going on in the world. Energy, crazy topic right now. Energy supply, wholesale energy. Again, Buddy is the CEO of Arkansas Electric Cooperative Corporation. And that's where we get the energy that we distribute to our members. So without any further ado, Mr. Haston, take it away.
All right. Thanks, Mel. Hey, Mel, we've been sitting about an hour and a half. You mind if I give everybody a 1 minute standing break to stretch?
Good idea. Yeah. Stand.
Because even in church, we get up and sing at least every 30 minutes or so. So you give everybody a minute to stretch and then we'll sit back down. That's why you get the big bucks. You're smart. Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of people were probably already drifted to the restroom. So.
Let me check.
You better come through.
Well, it's more that it creates a popping and then it creates a distraction and then people can't hear. So give me 1 second. Roger, I'm just gonna go ahead and move it. So you have it.
Well,
Long minute.
I know, right? Well, they were all getting ready to roll to the bathroom. We'll get them going.
Appreciate the break.
Yeah. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Well, I'm Buddy Haston. I'm the CEO of Arkansas Electric Cooperative Corporation and Arkansas Electric Cooperative Incorporated. I'm only here today to talk about AECC, so that's about half the job. And I was expecting Mel. I mean, he's a CEO, but when I saw Michael Kirkland come in and David Vonner, and I started getting nervous, you know, because these are my bosses, right? In a co-op system, the CEO works for the members. And so AECC has 16 members. And so I thought, ooh, if they get 9 of them in here, they could get rid of me right now. So I was glad to only see we only had 3. So even if I mistake today, they'll have to run back to Little Rock to get rid of me next month. But no, I spent the first 20 years of my life on nuclear submarines. And so for the whole, even today, I've always seen myself as a submarine guy that works for electric co-ops. But next year, I will have officially been retired longer than I was in the submarine force. So next year, I'll turn the page and I'll be a co-op guy that used to be in submarines. So that's kind of my background. And the CFO could tell you exactly. I don't know exactly how much of the costs that we, AECC, pass on to North Arkansas, how much that is of your bill. But in my head, I always use about 60%. So of every electric bill you pay, about 60% of it is really, they turn right around and pay us for your power, right? An analogy would be if Mel was the CEO of Starbucks, I would be the guy in Guatemala selling the beans. So that's sort of
Not a bad idea.
yeah, maybe a second life, right? But as much as we're going to talk about today, we have just as much going on at AECI, and North Arkansas is a member of that organization as well. And so there's just a lot of stuff going on. I want to talk about is safety. Must be my magnetic personality cutting this thing out. Anyway, we stress safety. You guys saw in the staff presentations, they value safety. They take it very seriously. And so we've had one recordable injury year to date. That is when an IT person pulled a box off a cabinet and it fell down on them and scratched their cornea. So I'd like to have no recordable injuries, but I'll definitely take an injury like that versus somebody getting really hurt in the field. So we're really trying to keep a focus at AECC as well. I think the theme for the day is there's a lot of change ahead, and that's why I'm here. It used to be when I graduated college, the boringest job you could get would be to go into the utility industry, right? All the excitement was in the .com. The big .com thing was going on. Everything was exciting with the internet and all that stuff going on. And energy was just boring, right? If you probably play Monopoly, right? It's the most boring property on the board. You roll the dice, collect 4 times what's rolled. You don't get hotels. You can't bankrupt your brother electric company. So, but that's not true today. Today, our industry is probably the most exciting industry, and you see more and more people coming out of college wanting to get into energy because energy is the topic. It's in the Wall Street Journal every day. It's on the internet every day. It's in the Democratic Gazette every day. It's driving political elections. Heck, it's driving presidential elections. So energy powers everything. I always tell people that the energy sector is about 1/17 of America's gross domestic product. But we're the people, if we don't come to work, no one goes to work. It's just it. And it's a commodity we've all taken for granted our whole lives. We've all grown up in a world, if we went into a room and flicked a light switch, that if the light didn't come on, we assume it's burned out, not that we're out of power unless there's a storm. It's actually one of the most important commodities in our life, right? The human body needs oxygen to live. You can only live a couple of minutes without oxygen, right? Next, you need water. You can live a few days without water. Then you have to have food, shelter, but right there is energy, at least in the American way of life. But it's something that we all take for granted, and for a long, long time, America has done that. But then there's been sort of this great awakening. We've got aging infrastructure and an economy that's trying to grow again. For decades, we shipped all of our jobs over to China, and now they're trying to bring some of those jobs back. You've got artificial intelligence coming online, but you've got a lot of things going on in our country, and it all takes energy. And that's really the change, right? But there are some things that will never change, right? According to Bruce Hornsby, and he's quite the poet, we all know, right? And that is that AECC, but every co-op in the state of Arkansas, these are our values. We want to be reliable, affordable, and responsible for our members. That's never going to change. There's a lot of things that do change. A lot of things change in your life, but you've got some core values that your parents and your preachers and everybody put into you. And no matter what the world throws at you, you stay true to those core values. That never changes. That's what guides you. And these are our guiding stars right here. I also think as a co-op, we're very different than other energy companies. These are some things that I believe make us unique. I'm the one energy CEO, or one of the energy co-op CEOs, in the state of Arkansas, where every day I come to work and I ask my employees, how can we figure out how to charge our members less money for power? Every other CEO that has my job wants to charge as much money for power as they can, but not get in trouble with the Public Service Commission, because their mission is not reliable, affordable, responsible. It's earnings per share. But who are those shareholders? It's hedge funds, it's people all over the country, right? Co-ops are owned by local members. And so this identity is never going to change. I think we're better connected together. I think, Mel's opening statement was, let's work together. And in our society, if we can't figure something out, let's just sit down and figure it out. I think that members matter. You'll see these are logos, but these aren't just funny, fancy pictures that we put in our magazine or put on internet. These are things we believe in. And I also believe in a balance of power. And I think I'm going to talk a little bit about your power supply and what balance of power means and why it's important. This is what AECC has. We have 17 member service territories. There are 600,000 meters system-wide. That's about 1.2 million Arkansans. We serve 62% of the landmass, 33% of state's population, with a revenue of about $1 billion a year with 4,269 megawatts of power generation. But we're in this room today at a co-op annual meeting. We're not at an Entergy shareholder meeting, right? Because years ago, when you needed electricity, that business model looked out across the hills and the hollers and having to string lines across lakes and said, there's no money in that. It's too expensive. So co-ops had to do it. Our grandfathers, our great-grandfathers and grandmothers and parents and all those folks had to do that. But it's a business model that just has a high cost profile from the get-go, because there was no money in it, or the for-profit energy companies would have, this territory would all be served by them, but it's not. So this is what's going on with AECC load growth in the state, right? Populations, business, other things. The more things people put in their homes that use electricity. 70 years ago, this co-op annual meeting, we would have pulled a trailer up outside and there would have been a washing machine and an electric stove on it. We'd have been trying to show you how you could have electric appliances in your home. Today, everybody's got so many things, we got to have fiber to connect them all to the internet. So a load goes up. But the most important thing to notice on that slide is the blue line is going up faster than the red line. The blue line is your winter peak. Everybody thinks that Arkansas is a hot southern summer state, and you would think that the summertime is the most critical electrical time, and it is not. It's not even close. That blue line is 600 megawatts. That's a huge power plant, larger than the summer. So winter has become the cost driver in this business. Something else that's a cost driver. We've had the real benefit of operating, our Entergy operates, but we get power from 4 coal plants. And those coal plants are very efficient, and they do produce low-cost power no matter what the newspaper tells you. And because those coal plants were sued by Sierra Club, or Entergy was sued by Sierra Club, and Entergy, instead of going to court to fight it, decided to settle out of court. And what they did is they signed the consent decree that said they would shut those plants down, the first 2 closing in 2028 and the second 2 closing in 2030. So here's a little graphic of that. So 581 megawatts of power. Remember I said winter is 600 more than summer? So at a time when you've got all this more power need, you got 600. This is our portion of those plants. White Bluff is a 1,600 megawatt, 1.6 gigawatt coal plant. We own 581 megawatts of that. That's going away. And then turn right around in 2030 and 587 megawatts of coal at Independence will be coming offline. So that's 1.2 gigawatts of power that we've relied on for decades that is going away and has to be replaced. So let's talk about some of these new projects. This is every power plant since the beginning of time. I'm not going to go through the chronology, But you can see that gray on the bottom are the coal plants, and they've been around since about 75 to 1980. So, you know, I had long hair and, you know, listened to loud music about that time. Still listen to loud music. They have no hair. But the reality is those coal plants you can see on the right, they're going away, right? And when they go away, something else has to come in there. And so you can see that we've got some new natural gas. And then we'll talk a little bit about why that is. But that's every power plant that's in the portfolio. But you can see that we used to be pretty well balanced. Balance of power, 33% coal, 33% gas, 33% hydro, wind, and solar. Going forward, we're going to be heavily tilted toward gas because you can't build coal. And so you're really going to be around 67% gas and 33% everything else. So when you look at these symbols on the chart, the highest reliability form of energy in the country is nuclear. Nuclear power plants have about a 92 to 95% reliability factor. Coal has about an 85 to 90. Natural gas has probably about a similar, maybe a little less, 80 to 88. Hydro, because you're never sure if you're going to have a drought or when's the water going to be there, it probably tends to operate in the 75 to 80. And then wind operates, if you take every wind plant in America, average it, its reliability factor is 40%. And then solar is 26%. So that means 26% of the hours in the year you will get energy from that resource. If you had a nuclear plant, 95% of the hours in a year, you will get energy from that resource. And that matters because you're not in the game of only asking me for power 26% of the time, or I totally forgive my co-op that there was no power today because our resource wasn't running. You want your power 365, 24 hours a day. And so that's what we've got to do, right? We've got to put together a portfolio that meets your needs. So we've added 122 megawatts of solar. So I am not an anti-solar. I'm not an anti-renewable ranter. It's a balance of power. You need a mix of all resources. And so we did add a large solar project to the portfolio in 24. We just completed a Fitzhugh addition, which is 100 megawatts of simple cycle gas. We're under construction on a large simple cycle gas plant. The Naples plant, 850 megawatts. And Independence Power Plant will be 1,500 megawatts in 2030. That Naples, and this is essentially replacing those coal plants. This is what's replacing the coal plants. But that's 2,567 megawatts we're building in 6 years. And that's the highest growth rate ever, right? And back when the co-ops built the coal plants, it almost bankrupted the co-op. The co-ops had to sell the coal plants to General Electric capital and then buy them back over time because the financial strain was so much. So we're trying not to repeat that. We're also doing this at a time when power prices are essentially skyrocketing. I pulled this is a news article from April of this year from a utility magazine that says gas turbine prices have exploded 195%. Why is that? Well, we're not the only ones closing coal plants. They're closing all over America. Some of your nuclear plants are getting too old to relicense, and we're having historic load growth in America. I, for one, am all for onshoring jobs in America. I'm all for manufacturing jobs for Americans. I came from a town that when I left, I was 18 years old. And by the time I got home when I was 38, I didn't recognize it no more because there was nothing left. And anyone left town because there were no jobs for the kids. So co-ops are all about community. And I think if you care about your community, you want jobs in your community. I think you want opportunities in your community. And I think you don't want all your grandkids to have to move to the city to have a job. We enjoy seeing our grandkids. So, but this is going on right now. The other thing is currently in the world, because we're not the only country that buys these, there are 110 gigawatts of orders for gas turbines. All gas turbine manufacturers combined in this country can only make 60 to 70. There is currently a 4 to 5 to 6 year lead time. So even if I wanted another gas turbine more than I've already ordered, I would have to wait somewhere between 4 and 6 years before it could be manufactured. That's how long the waiting list is. And you know as well as I do, if you go on StubHub and everybody wants to go see, your favorite country star, ticket prices go up when there's a huge demand for the seats. This is a scientific graph. This is from Grid Lab. They just put this out at the end of last year, predicting into this year. But you can see that line is the price for power generation equipment, and it's going up, right? And you can see it's, and I just got back from a conference last week, meeting with all of the finance people that finance these projects, and they said that line is now over 3,000. So just in the short time, I've made this graph probably about 2.5 months ago. In the first quarter of this year, or the first part of the year, new gas turbine prices have already gone over 3,000, and that one caps out at 2,500. So this is what all those power plants cost. To replace that coal, you're looking at $3.1 billion. And that's the Dr. Evil with a B billion, right? It's a lot of money. And it's a responsibility we take seriously because we're spending your money. Okay. We think we may still need to add more power plants in the future if load growth continues. And so that's just something else we've got to keep our eye on. But this is the plan right now. But I want you to pay attention to the numbers on the right. Woodruff Solar cost $1,393 a kilowatt to build. Fitzhugh, the one we just built, cost $930 a kW. It was a used power plant, but factory recertified, so it's got a long life left in it. Naples is going to cost us about $1,100 a kilowatt, and Independence is going to cost $1,700. And why is Independence cost so much more? Independence is a combined cycle power plant, which means it's not just, I always use the analogy, Naples and Fitzhugh is like a jet engine. If you look out the wing of your plane, there's a jet engine hanging there. That jet engine can lift your plane off the ground or it can make electricity. Simple cycle gas turbines is just the jet engine. We put gas in, we burn it, it spins a turbine, everything else goes out the smokestack. There's no smoke, just heat and exhaust. In a combined cycle plant, we connect a steam cycle onto that. So all that hot gas that leaves, it goes through a steam plant, boils water, makes steam, and a second turbine turns and you get more power. So for the same exact amount of natural gas burned, you get a lot more power, right? Naples is 850 megawatts. Independence is 1,500. So you get almost twice the power for the same amount of gas. It just costs more to build. These are recent announcements. So I just told you that our combined cycle gas plant is going to cost the co-ops $1,700 a kilowatt. Entergy just announced their power plant they're building in Central Arkansas. It's going to be $2,100. Jacksonville Electric in Florida just announced their new power plant is going to cost $2,325 a kilowatt. And LG&E in Kentucky announced one recently that's going to be $2,139. So I'm here to say that, yes, they're expensive, but we've found, one, we got into the game before the prices got too high. So we were very proactive and got in line and got our orders in. But two, we also don't try to spend a lot of money on a power plant to justify charging more money for power. We look for every place possible that we can build that power plant for cheaper. And those two forces combined are what made our power plants less. This is from our annual report. I know it's probably a bit of an eye chart, but you see that the margins have gone up quite a bit. And you'd say, why do you need to charge me more money if you've got that much essentially profit? And the reason is this. I have to go to the bank and I have to borrow $3 billion. Okay. Your CFO showed you that your equity percent of assets requirement by your bank is around 35%. I have the same banks. So no different than if you go down to Bank OZK and you want to buy a house, they're going to require you to put some money down unless you can get a VA loan, right? I got one of those in my life. It was nice. No money down to get a house. But I don't get that deal anymore. So we're no different. We have to show collateral. And so what we're having to do is we're having to raise rates artificially high to generate those profit margins so that we can put them on our books, so we can book that as equity so that the bankers will loan us the money to build the power plants. That's essentially financially what's going on. I think there's another important thing here. I don't know if you can read it, but your power plants, we sell power into a market and we buy it out of a market. Your power plants last year, if you didn't own any power plants, if I was what they call a paper G&T, where all I did was sign paper contracts, right? If I had a fancy pen, but I didn't actually operate anything, then if I bought all of your power out of the market versus generating power and selling it and then, using the market whenever it can be cheaper than me, your power plants saved the members in Arkansas $180 million last year. So without those power plants, the power bill would have been $180 million more. This is what member revenue is per megawatt hour. It's been pretty flat. It peaked in 2022 because it's a perfect storm. Natural gas went to $10 and the coal got shut off. So everybody got squeezed for higher energy prices. But other than that, those steps that you see going up are these corresponding rate increases we've been putting in trying to drive these margins. Member demand is pretty flat, right? It's generally pretty stable. But if you look, last year we had a record high energy sales. And here's the other thing that we do that not everybody pays attention to. Your demand and your energy sales are pretty flat, but there is a market out there that we can sell to. So if you had a power plant that you own and it never runs, you still got to pay for it. But if we can run that plant more efficiently and more effectively than other people that sell into the market, Entergy, AEP, OG&E, if we can do that, then we can generate profit with that power plant from the market, which is other people, not members. And then I can take that profit and apply it to your bill and artificially lower your cost. And so that's part of what's going on as well. We're trying to really be the best operators we can and arbitrage your portfolio to generate non-member profit that we can use to apply to member cost to lower your overall cost. And so we actually did very well last year. And as our portfolio continues to modify, you're going to see that's going to get better and better. This is what it looks like. The national average cost for electricity in all 50 states is 16.48 cents. Arkansas co-ops are 12.77. And if in Entergy is really the 800-pound gorilla, what's Entergy? 12.97. If nothing else shows that your co-op really believes in reliable, affordable, responsible, this chart proves it all. The companies that couldn't make any money out in the country, in the rural areas, because it was going to cost too much, how is it even possible that across the whole state averages that the co-ops can be cheaper than Entergy? How is that even possible when we've got twice as much territory to cover and half as many people to collect electric bills from? It's the co-op business model in action. This is your price of fuel. This is something I look at every morning. 7 days a week, I get emails every day on fuel prices. Those big spikes you see are not good because that means a lot of money. And that tall spike you see is Winter Storm Uri. That spike equals $100 million. 5 days of fuel cost $100 million. But we're getting better. If you look at the next one, I think the next one was Elliott in 22. That was a $40 million spike. And then there was Blair. It was a $25 million spike. And then the last one we just had this January was about a $12 to $13 million spike. Why is it going down? It's not because gas prices are getting cheaper. We've been getting much more sophisticated with natural gas hedging programs. Also, I am a submarine guy, and literally, if we don't have reliable power plants, we die. It's, you want to have as many submergings and surfacings be equal. You don't want to go down and not come up. And so, I would say for the last 7 years, I've put incredible pressure on my chief operating officer and all of my operators to harden these power plants so that when bad weather comes, they can operate. Look, I grew up in the northern Midwest, 20 below zero, delivering newspapers as a kid. Power plants can run at 20 below zero, but you got to be ready for it. And so we've been getting more ready and more ready. Those improving stats prove that, right? And that is important to you because that money gets directly passed on to the members, to people like to Mel's co-op, to the other co-ops. This is another graph, same graph, but I want you to look at that little green box on the top. This is something that the AECC board, so Mel and the other members, Michael, David, they voted last year that instead of AECC having one of these big fuel spikes and then taking all of that money and making you pay for it the next month on your electric bill, when you've already had a lot of kilowatt hours that were spinning in the winter, right? So high usage plus a high fuel bill equals a ginormous electric bill. So what they voted on was they said, hey, AECC, we want you to take the bullet. We want you to average this fuel ladder over 12 months so that we get protected from these spikes. Think about people out in our communities on fixed incomes. If you've got a lot of disposable cash, it just ticks you off if your electric bill goes up. But if it's a choice between your electric bill or going to Walmart and picking up your prescription, that's a tougher choice. So the more you can keep the cost of the electric bill constant, the easier it is for people that don't have as much disposable income to manage their finances. So the ACC board voted last year and we smoothed it out. That big peak you see in the green box, that's what your power bill would have been in January from the winter storm. But the blue line is what it turned out because we're now averaging. So I hope that helps understand why maybe this last winter got really, really cold, but why did my electric bill not go berserk like it did last time? That's what happened. All right, I'm just going to a little show and tell, just like when I was in kindergarten and I got to bring something in and show all my classmates. These are your power plants. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them. This is Fitzhugh over in Ozark, Arkansas. I used to live near Ozark, Missouri. It is two GE LM6000s. Truly, these are aeroderivatives. These are like big old jet engines you'd see on the big jumbo jets. Each of them makes 50 megawatts, so it's 100 megawatts of power. There's the completed plant. It's got diesel fuel on site. This is also very, very important for you. When these winter events hit, this morning, natural gas prices we paid for your power plants was about $2.75 a decatherm. During Winter Storm Uri, it was $400 a decatherm. So the price of diesel fuel is expensive, but it's about $15 a decatherm. So if I can shift to diesel fuel and not have to burn $400 gas, that's going to save the members a lot of money. So every one of these new power plants is being built dual fuel, so we can flip a switch and go to diesel fuel if we need to protect ourselves from these crazy natural gas prices. All right, Naples power plant, much, much bigger. This is a real one. So the Fitzhugh was kind of a warm-up lap for the real projects. This is a 425 megawatt gas turbine made by Siemens. It will be, when it gets constructed, one of the most efficient turbine in the market until the next generation comes along. But this is as good as they get. This is an artist rendering of the site. It's in, it has, as I said, it'll have 6.2 million gallons of diesel on site. So we will, if we run this plant for a 5-day winter storm, we will burn 6.2 million gallons of diesel. So we use a lot of fuel to make this electricity, more than people think. We also have 5.4 million gallons of demineralized water. We, believe it or not, we need to spray water in this turbine. You wouldn't think you'd spray water into a turbine, but it actually gets more power out of it if you do. So there's where we are in the schedule, with this thing coming online at the end of 2028, just in time to catch the first coal plant going offline. This is what the site looked like October of last year, November, March. So you can kind of see it's up and going. We've already got the pads for the diesel fuel tanks and the water tanks, and they're already pouring foundations. And so that project's really going. Independence gas plant. We don't own it completely. There were other partners in the Independence coal plant, so those partners decided to partner with us on a new gas plant. So we own 75% of this 1,500 megawatts. This is an artist rendering, very similar to the last one because they're the same technology. We bought 4 of the same turbine because it'll just think about spare parts. If you got 4 of the same kind of thing, it's easier for spare parts, maintenance, training, everything else. But imagine, if you will, that you ran a logistics business and your job was delivering stuff in a pickup truck. And you had a good old 2010 F-150 fully paid for, right? It's old enough that the insurance company doesn't value it that much. So if you hit a deer with it, you're not going to get a lot of money from the insurance company. But it runs great. Still isn't killing you for maintenance. And you can run your business every day, and that truck is already paid for. Now all you're paying for is maintenance, tires, oil, gas, as long as it isn't having major breakdowns. Compare that with having to run the same business, but you got to go out and buy a new 2025 or 2026 F-150. Well, you're going to be making payments on that. You're going to be paying interest on those payments. Your insurance company is going to charge you a lot more. And guess what? The state's going to charge you a lot more personal property tax. This is essentially a coal plant on the right and a brand new shiny gas plant on the left. Which one costs more to run a business? And they make the same thing. Those old coal plants are old, but they're still great. They are being shut down prematurely. They got a lot of life left in them. So we are being forced to get rid of our perfectly good 2010 F-150 and buy a new truck just because government says so. So that has real impacts on members, right? And that is what causes rate increases. It's 98% of these rate increases. Yes, there is a little bit of wage increase. We pay our employees a little bit more every year. Yes, there is some inflation. Yes, some fuel prices here and there. But I'm just saying a lot of the increase at AECC level, which is about 60% of your bill, has everything to do with this. There's not a single data center connected to our wires in the state. There's not a single any of that. So no matter what you read in the paper, no matter what you hear on the radio, no matter what some genius on Facebook says, I'm here to tell you definitively, there are 0 data centers driving any of this right now. There's nothing going on except throwing perfectly good coal plants in a dumpster and buying shiny new gas plants. That's it. That's all the cost. And I just told you that's $3 billion. It's a lot of money. Okay. So load growth is wonderful. Its only drawback is it comes at an inconvenient time. It is good to have load growth. New meters mean new revenue that help old members pay bills. It's just when you have this much load growth going on at a time when we're having to go throw away perfectly good coal plants and use new plants, while we're already spending all this other money, it does put a lot of concern out there. What if all this other load growth happens in our communities? So I get asked these questions all the time. I'm just going to answer them real quick. Will coal generation be part of AECC's power mix in the future? The answer is yes. Now, it won't be as much. You can see that coal was 71% of the portfolio back in 2014. Gas was 3%. In the future, coal will be more like 11%. Gas will be 74%. Missed that on the edit of the slides. But you can see it's going to be a lot less. Now, the big game question of the day is this Independence coal plant. We have to plan like it's going to close. We have to prepare for it closing. But you've all seen all kind of crazy stuff going on in the Supreme Court, with the Department of Energy, with Trump with 202C orders, with all of the load growth coming to America, and 6 years to get a new gas turbine. And with the federal government saying that artificial intelligence is a national security issue. Does anybody watch what Ukraine is doing with drones? They're making 8 million drones a year right now. Hook that up to artificial intelligence and watch out. So you can take a $50 million military hardware and overcome it with some drones and some AI. So I don't think the government's kidding when they say artificial intelligence is a national security priority. And I do think that America needs to find a way to power it. So I don't think this is just tech companies getting rich. They probably are, and they need to pay their fair share, and I'll talk about that. But I'm saying there's a lot of pressure in America to keep these coal plants open. So I don't totally know what will happen in the next 3 or 4 or 5 years. I use the Dumb and Dumber quote. Anyone that's seen that movie, Lloyd Christmas had no chance of going out with that lady, but he thought he had a chance. And so I give our coal plant the same chance. But at the same time, I don't think it's 100% certain at this point, but I do think we have to be responsible and plan like it will close. Will small nuclear reactors be part of Arkansas someday? I went and consulted Carnac the Magnificent, the smartest man my mother knew. He said likely. But the next question I often get, if so, when do I think that might happen, right? And what needs to happen? So when is it going to come? Well, Carnac didn't have the answer, so I had to go to this guy, right? He had to consult him. And he said likely sometime in that 2035 to 2040 timeframe. And I really do think that's realistic. Why do I say that? Well, here's Entergy recently spoke at an Arkansas chamber event in Little Rock, and he was already teasing new nuclear, right? Entergy chief says new nuclear could come to Arkansas. And they are the only nuclear operators in the state, much to my chagrin. But I think AEP is seeking grants to assist with advanced nuclear exploration, not here, not yet, in Indiana and Virginia, where these data centers are. But like I'm saying, if you build one, America's nuclear dry spell is over. So you see these headlines everywhere. So I think 2035 to 2040. Here's my view of nuclear power, though. I had a really smart boss tell me one time, pioneers get the arrows, settlers get the land. So the first 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 of these are going to be very expensive. They're going to have lots of rookie mistakes and lots of learn-its going along the way. And so it's going to be pioneers getting arrows. And, you know, you got to be a pretty tough guy to be a pioneer back in the day. And you got to be able to soak up some arrows. And I just don't think as electric co-ops of Arkansas, we're big enough to soak up those arrows. But I think some of the big companies out there can soak those arrows up. And then when serial number 6, 7, 8, and 9 come along and the settlers get the land, that will be the time. It probably won't be during my time. Unfortunately, as a nuclear guy, there would be nothing make me happier. But I think the board will run me off before serial number 6, 7, 8, and 9, 10 get here. But I do think it will be out in the future. Do I think we'll build and own and operate our own SMR? I don't. I think we'll probably end up partnering with somebody because these are very expensive technology, but they run for 80 years at very low or no fuel cost almost. So they are great power and they're very reliable, but it's just not quite there yet. What are my thoughts on data centers? Well, you can't read this, but look, there's huge opportunities in data centers. The top line there says they expect $3 trillion real estate boom, right? No different than the farmers that all the solar guys were trying to lease their farms for high prices, more than they can make with rice and beans. So you're going to get a lot of real estate. You're going to get a lot of tax base. It's going to generate a lot of local revenue and taxes if they don't all get abated. And that's being discussed pretty hotly in the state right now. But they're going to create construction jobs and other jobs. And like I said, and they'll attract other industries with them. So there's opportunities there, and they're not all bad. There's challenges, though. They use a lot of power, right? In some states that didn't do it right, those costs got spread over all the customers, and that's why there's a lot of outrage, rightfully so. There's the old technology data centers use a lot of water. The old data centers that use something called evaporative cooling, they use 5 million gallons of water a day. The new data centers, so any of the new ones being built today, do not use that technology. They use closed loop cooling, and they use closed loop, and then they use radiators, and it goes out into the air versus using water to evaporate. They probably use less than 5,000 gallons of water a day. But if you are in a state where the old ones were built using 5 million gallons of water and all those prices were on you, there's no doubt you can go to YouTube and find plenty of upset consumers. So that's the challenge. This is what's gone on in residential energy prices in the country, right? So all across the country, prices have gone up. Data centers have been blamed for some of that, and they're right, and rightfully so. This is Virginia. Virginia has the most data centers of any state in the country. So they are the canary in the mine shaft when it says what happens when you bring a lot of data centers, and they have a huge population to spread costs over. But you can see even data centers bent the curve of their costs, right? So it is a fact that it has raised their prices. So if a data center does come to us, what would we have to do? And we don't have any yet. But what we have to do is make sure we protect our members. We've been working, even though there's no data center connected, we've been working since the end of 2024, all through 2025, and right now in 2026, working with the Public Service Commission, putting what we call tariffs, and those are rules in place, such that if a data center connects, we now have the ability through these tariffs to say, it's very common to hear on the news, governors and politicians saying, hey, if data centers are going to come in, they got to pay their fair share. They have to pay for their upgrades, right? These tariffs are what will allow that to happen. So if a data center comes in and they need us to spend a lot of money on transmission, we would say, okay, then we're going to charge you the transmission extension facilities. You are going to pay for that. We are not going to spread that cost over our members. Okay? I'm not going to read all these to you. If you want to go to the Public Service Commission, you can look at all of our tariffs, but every one of these new tariffs we're putting in place, the fuel rider adjustment, they have to pay for the fuel right now. We don't average their fuel because it does cost us money to average that fuel. But for them, they have to pay their bill every month. So when that spike happens, it will be passed directly onto them. You're not financing their fuel. Everything we've tried to think of to say, if a data center connects to our system anywhere in our member territories, we want to make sure that we are isolating and insulating our normal, like today, rate 1 is what we call it, membership from those costs. There's the second. This is a second portion of that. So there's 2 full slides of tariffs that we're putting in. We're also allowing them to bring their own generation if they want, right? If they want to power themselves, they can, but they still have to pay us to connect to the grid. Can I explain thoughts on being long on generation capacity or short? That means, is it better to have a little bit too much power plant or a little bit too little? That's all that means. Would we be smart to build power plants a little bit bigger than we need or a little bit smaller than we need? I can use my home state. I grew up in Iowa. There are 2 utilities in Iowa. One is Mid-America Energy, owned by Warren Buffett, the Oracle of Omaha. That's much richer than the Oracle of Arkansas. And Alliant Energy. I worked for Alliant Energy for 4 years. We were generation short. So every day, their customers demanded more power than the power plants they owned could provide. So they had to buy out of the market every day because they didn't have enough power to supply their people. This is a comparison between Mid-America's rates and Alliant Energy's rates. Alliant Energy has always been higher, and they go up faster. So I would say it's better to be a Mid-America guy than a Alliant Energy guy. Also, right now, with all this load growth, there used to be a lot of extra capacity in the American electric grid. You could put a new factory online and you didn't have to build a new power plant. There was so much excess generation in our country because all of our factories went overseas that for years we've been living on the excess and nobody had to build anything new to add new load. Those days are gone. Now, every single thing that gets plugged into the grid requires new stuff to get built. And that new stuff I showed you earlier is very expensive. The year I started, only 7 years ago, at Arkansas Electric, Magnet Cove was worth about 0 in capacity credits. The market didn't value capacity because we had more than we needed. No one was going to pay you for it. Today, if Magnet Cove is in MISO, which is where it is, it gets $31 million a year capacity revenue. If I was in PJM, which is the East Coast, which is what we're going to look like in a few years because of all this load growth, PJM is just further down the trail than we are, but that's where we're all headed. If that power plant were registered in PJM, it would generate almost $80 million a year just sitting there, never running for capacity. So if you're short capacity 10 years ago, it was a great deal because it was free. If you're short capacity into the future, you're going to pay for it. So it is better to have a bit more generation than you need. And with that, if you have a question, if I don't have an answer, we all know Mel does. And I thank you so much for your time. I know that was real, but it is what's going on. It is coming to your mailbox every month with why is my electricity going up? I was trying to really explain what's going on. So thank you.
Thank you, buddy. You know, I did have a question, but Mr. Morgan answered it. Karnak the Magnificent, you know, that I guess was before my time. All right. Thank you, buddy. We're going to turn it over now to Mr. Morgan.
Okay, thanks, Mel. It's time to move into our business session. A couple of things to clarify. First of all, in order to conduct business of the electric cooperative, we have to have a quorum. Article 3, Section 4 of the NAAC bylaws defines a quorum as 2% of the members constitute a quorum. Actual attendance is not required. A ballot submitted on any issue constitutes considered being present. So as you're aware, we have a company that does our elections for us. I got the results last night in terms of ballots submitted. The ballots submitted this year to Survey and Ballot Systems, it's the company that counts for us, totaled 1,887, which is 6.18%. So that exceeds the amount required for a quorum by over 4%. So I would declare a quorum is present and that business can be conducted for the cooperative. Let me also say that, and I've mentioned this every year, but the results of the balloting come into me usually the day before the election. I got these yesterday, either right before lunch or right after lunch. Until that time, I could not tell you how many votes were counted for a director or anything like that. And I think there's been a little bit of confusion. The co-op can tell how many ballots have been received at any particular point during this process. But as far as actual ballots counted for a director, that's never known to us until either the day before or the day of the election when those are sent to me. Otherwise, as far as number of votes cast, it's not any different than if you call the Fulton County Clerk's office during a primary election. They can tell you the number of votes cast, but they're not going to be able to tell you who is leading in a race. That is not known till they count all the ballots at one time, and that's submitted to me and me only. So I wanted to clear up any issues regarding that. And again, a quorum is present so we can move forward. The first order of business is to approve the minutes from the 2025 annual meeting, which was held on Juneteenth of 2025. Those minutes have been available on the NAEC website for, I think, a week to 10 days. They've been out there for people to look at and to consider. Is there a motion to approve the annual minutes? Beth Carter, I believe, submitted a motion, approval for that motion. Is there a second? Is there a second? Second. And isn't there any discussion on approval of last year's minutes from 2025, June 19th, 2025? Any discussion? Okay, we'll do a voice vote on this. All in favor of approval of the minutes from the 2025 annual meeting, say aye. Aye. Any opposed by like sign? Motion passes and the minutes from the 2025 annual meeting have been approved. Next, we would move into the notification of director election results. Article 4, Section 4 of the bylaws provides two options for a director candidate to be placed on a ballot. One is through the nominating committee, And let me just very briefly tell you the members of the nominating committee this year. From Fulton County, it was Jeremy Stone. Baxter County was T.C. Carter. Izard County, James Elbert. Sharp County, Randy Jones. The at-large member was Joe Dillard from Mountain Home. We always have 2 alternates. This year, the 2 alternates were Carl Pitts from Horseshoe Bend and Richard Hansen from Mountain Home. That nominating committee met in the time and manner that our bylaws require, and they nominated the following. From Izard County, the nominating committee nominated Dennis Wiles. From Sharp County, the nominating committee nominated Larry Goodwin. The other method, as I mentioned just a minute ago, nominating committee comes up with one candidate is one way to do that. The other is through a petition method that requires 100 signatures on a petition form provided by North Arkansas Electric Cooperative. These are available from the Electric Cooperative office. This year, there were no valid petitions received. In order to do that, like I said, there has to be 100 signatures. We did not receive a petition for the 2026 petition that had 100 signatures on that. And so this year, the races were uncontested. The results, which were sent to me yesterday for Larry Goodwin's position, which was a Sharp County position, Larry Goodwin received 1,404 votes. There were 483 votes unexercised in Mr. Goodwin's race. The Dennis Wiles, as I mentioned earlier, ran for the Izard County position. There were 1,501 votes received by Dennis Wiles. 386 votes were unexercised in that. But both of those men were reelected to the board of directors by those vote totals. Next, we move on to the member proposals. Article 3, Section 7 allows members to submit proposals. I promise it'll get more interesting, Mel. Okay. So back to this. On member proposals, Article 3, Section 7 allows members to submit proposals to a special or general membership meeting. This year, 4 proposals were received in the time and manner required by NAEC bylaws. The proposals, as in my opinion, and I voiced this last year, and that was after discussing with several co-op attorneys throughout the state. In my opinion, the proposals that are made last year and again this year are proposals that the ultimate action lies within the board of directors' discretion. Many of them require amendment of bylaws, which are specifically given under Arkansas law to the board of directors. So the proposals are that. They're a proposal made to the board, and it's my understanding that the board will address these or consider these proposals in a manner probably as early as the July board meeting. But the procedures to address the proposals today will be as they were in last year with just a couple little changes. First of all, we've got a red X over here where whoever is the proponent or opponent to these proposals will need to stand in that general area so the camera and mic and everything can pick you up. Also, last year, I kept time on my phone and did a very, very average job at that. So we want to try to do a better job this year. And there will be a timer that you'll be able to see here, or there's another set over here, whichever's easier, that will show the time for any proponent or opponent. Also, the procedure, I will read the proposal in full as in last year. The proponent will have 3 minutes to present. If there is opposition, they will have 3 minutes to present. And then the proponent of the measure will have 1 minute to rebut that. Now, the proposals were received and each proposal had a sponsor. I'm not certain that it will be that sponsor who speaks. I know we probably know a lot of each other, but if you don't mind, when you come to speak for the proposal, if you would identify yourself to start with, just for record purposes. So we will go ahead and start on the proposals. I will read the first one, and then we will ask for whoever the proponent is to come speak to that. The first one involves director requirements. It requests to remove from requirements to be a candidate for director. Article 4, Section 3, qualifications. A, be a member of the cooperative for 2 years, and C, to remove A, and to remove C, which is to be a member of the cooperative in good standing. As used herein, the term good standing shall mean that a director shall have no more than 3 delinquent monthly service bills within the preceding 24-month period. Now, is there someone who wishes to speak that from the proponent's perspective? Steve, if you want to stand up to address this, and I think you see it, but that orange X will be easier if you can be in that general vicinity.
Well, my name is Steve Hall. I'm a member of North Arkansas Electric and live here in Fulton County. I've previously been an employee of North Arkansas Electric and a director, so I think you know that. And I want to tell you, I apologize to all you employees that had to come in here and spend half of your day sitting and listening to things that you may not necessarily have wanted to be here. Just because I put a couple of posts out on Facebook. So I apologize for that, but at least you're going to get a free fish meal, right? I mean, there you go. That'll work. And I want to say also, I've shaken a lot of hands while I've been here, and I wish I could shake every one of your hands. See a lot of friends in this group. Everything that I have to say is regarding the leadership of the cooperative and has nothing whatsoever to do with the fine work that the employees do, the dedication you have to the members, and the capabilities you show every day in what you do. I am one of your largest and loudest supporters in the community, I promise you, and I always will be. I feel you in my heart, and I know that you can't respond in a way because you're fearful of the tyranny that may be brought down on you if you show any respect toward me. But again, someday that will change, and maybe you can be openly friendly with me. Maybe we can say it that way. I'm speaking for Michelle Gratz, who submitted this proposal. She's had a serious tragedy in her family and is still very emotionally distraught, so she's not able to be here at this time. I want to say that the changes to the bylaws were made specifically to target her. I believe that in my heart. You may differ. Michelle is the only minority female who has ever attempted to run for this board. In November of 2025, the board chose to add several things. One of those being you have to be a U.S. citizen. In the 86-year history of the cooperative, that's never existed before. That shows a racial animus, in my opinion, because of the person that Michelle Gratz is. They also changed that you had to have no more than 3 delinquent bills. Delinquent is not identified anywhere in the cooperative material. If you're saying that you can't have more than 3 late payments, that we've got a different story to talk about. I'll let Mike Dover take over.
My name is Mike Dover. I've been a co-op member for almost 60 years now. I love this co-op. The board received, reviewed and made updates to the director qualifications. That's right, in 2025. No individual was signaled out. All these updates apply to all existing and potential board members, and they are in line with many other electric co-ops across the country. Let me tell you how they have that authority. Article 4, Section 1 of the bylaws of the co-op provides that the board of directors has all power to manage the business affairs of the co-op. Also, Arkansas Code 23-18-317A specifically provides that the power to make, alter, amend, or repeal bylaws of the corporation is vested in the board. I don't know why being in good standing would even be in a question. There's not a cooperative, a corporation, or a business in this country that would take an applicant for a management position in their company that was not in good standing or delinquent with that company. The responsibility of being accountable does not lie with the company. It lies with the individual. The old adage that we've all learned from our youth up, we've heard of all of our lives. You keep your own affairs and your business affairs in order before you attempt to run other people's business is still true today.
Mr. Hall, you would have 1 minute. Mike, are you done? No, you get 3 minutes and you get another minute. Good try, though. Good try.
Wait, stop him for a second.
Well, let's. So let's talk about a couple of things. One, Michelle Gratz got 2,462 votes last year. That is more than Dennis Wiles got this year. The changes were made retroactive specifically because they looked at who is been delinquent. Now, again, it's not defined, but if it's defined as paying after the due date, then I've been delinquent. I've been delinquent 10 times in the last year, in the last 2 years. I have paid after 10 times in the last 2 years. I'm on bill pay. So paying before the 14th evidently is not important because they can pull money out of my bank account anytime they want to. It's about declaring Michelle Gratz not available to be on the ballot.
We'll move on to the second proposal, which deals with board meetings. It's as follows. Any members shall be welcome. This is the proposed change. Any members shall be welcome to attend the board director monthly meetings and upon submission of a request prior to the meeting or upon invitation at the meeting shall have up to 2 minutes to address the board of directors about any cooperative related issue the member wishes to make known. Board meeting dates and times shall be announced on the cooperative's website with as much advance notice as practical. Board meetings shall be video broadcast live and archived for a minimum of 2 years on the cooperative's website. A provision for a behind closed doors executive session shall be allowed at the end of each board meeting for the purpose of discussing personnel or legal issues. However, board votes shall only be allowed during the open session of each board meeting. Is there someone that wishes to address? Sherry, come on up and identify yourself if you don't mind.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. I'm Sherry Emerson, a retired employee and now a member of North Arkansas Electric. Once again, I submit this proposal in the interest of promoting transparency, accountability, and member confidence in the operation of our cooperative. While a minor change was implemented following the 2025 meeting by providing board minute summaries, those summaries fall far short of meaningful transparency. They are untimely, vague, appearing selective in content, and therefore misleading. We, the members, deserve more than a brief, filtered accounts of the decisions that directly affect us and the cooperative that we own. The cooperative's written opposition to Follow Me cites Robert's Rules of Order, Section 61, asserting that the board of directors may determine who attends meetings and may exclude non-directors. However, that interpretation is incomplete and inaccurate. The section being referred to recognizes the members of a society, that is, those belonging to the organization, have the right to attend meetings unless specific governing documents provide otherwise. The continued resistance to greater transparency creates the appearance of unnecessary secrecy surrounding board discussions and decisions. As a result, members are left with diminished confidence in the board's actions and motives. Transparency is not a threat to effective governance. It is the foundation of trust between elected representatives and the members they serve. If there is truly nothing to conceal, then there should be no objection to allowing members greater access to the discussions and decision-making processes that shape the future of the cooperative. So I therefore ask you, if there is nothing to hide, why continue to hide it? Thank you.
Thank you. Is there someone who wishes to speak to the other side of this proposal? Yes, Mr. Winters.
Good afternoon, members, board member, directors, fellow employees. I'm a retired employee from North Arkansas Electric. And when we look at how our cooperative governs itself, we have to balance the natural desire for open information about the absolute necessity of order. An organization of our size simply cannot function efficiently if standard protocols are bypassed because of emotions or wants. There is a reason established rules exist, and they exist to protect the stability and integrity of this institution. First, let's address the core of how a professional board operates. Our board relies on universally recognized standards of order to keep things moving forward fairly, specifically the Roberts Rules of Order, newly revised, Section 61, 6, and 7, which provides that the board of directors determines who may attend meetings and that the board has clear authority to exclude non-directors. This isn't about secrecy, and it isn't about hiding anything. It's about establishing a functional, focused working environment. The board must have the administrative space to deliberate, debate complex issues, and weigh sensitive legal or personal matters without outside distractions. This is a standard parliamentary procedure used by successful organizations worldwide to ensure that decisions are made calmly, rationally, and legally. Furthermore, we must look at how member issues are actually solved in the real world. Currently, NAAC has a clear established procedure that allows for issues to be taken up the chain of command. This system ensures that problems are handled efficiently at the most immediate level possible by the people closest to the situation. When I was a supervisor, we had a team that anytime someone come in with an issue, we took care of that. Or if we couldn't take care of it, we found someone that could, that was in the co-op. If an issue cannot be resolved at a lower level, then chain of command naturally results in ultimate determination by the board itself. This is a logical step-by-step process. It guarantees that the board's time is preserved for high-level oversight while ensuring every single member's voice has a chance to be heard. And let's look at the track record of this process. Our staff is not aware of a single request that has been turned away from the attention of the board if taking the matter up the chain of command failed to result in a resolution. The system works. When members use the proper channels, their problems get solved.
Now we'll turn now to the 1 minute rebuttal period.
Yes, you have a chain of command, but you have a broken link somewhere between the CEO and the current chairman of the board. I can attest to that myself by a letter I wrote that never made it to the board. I wrote it to the board, sent it through the attorney to the chairman, and it never made it to the board. The rest of the board is laying limp on the ground. And just like your board summaries that are posted, by the time an issue or your chain of command gets to the rest of you, the summary is untimely, vague, and falls short of meaningful transparency. Please consider that. Thank you.
I know I would like to
Wait,
finish.
Well, hang on just a second. How much are you here to rebut? Well, we need to clarify how much time she has left of her minute.
21.
What? How much did she have? Who's running the clock?
I can only do minutes. We'll have to.
Okay, we can only do it in minutes, is my understanding. We'll give you 25 seconds. I think she had at least taken up half her time, Steve.
It was 25 cents.
Then that's what you get. It's 25 seconds. Go ahead. Time's a counting.
It's not right.
We can't. It's only a minute. It does it in minute increments. She can't reset it to the seconds.
Well, I would like to add what Sherry said, and I also wrote a letter directly to every board member and never got a response from any board member about the questions that I had and the failures that seem to be existing in the leadership.
Okay, the next proposal that we'll turn to deals with compensation, and it's the third proposal. It says any non-standard compensation for directors, management, or non-employees shall be reported in detail annually at the meeting of the members. The non-standard compensation shall include, it is to be limited to, employment arrangements of pay and benefits when no work output, performance, or actual attendance to work is required, excludes any leave for disability, bonuses, deferred compensation plans, termination payments, golden parachutes, payment for benefits, gifts, or trips that are not specifically required to conduct business activity, payment for family members' travel, hotels and meals, payment for memberships to clubs, sporting events, or activities that are not required to conduct business for the cooperative. Steve, are you addressing this one?
Well, I appreciate you indulging me. I think you all know exactly what this is about. I think all of you know exactly where the rumors are about how a person is getting paid. And does that sit well with you? If somebody's getting paid just because they said something that the CEO didn't like, is that okay? I hope it never happens to you. I fear that it might. Might also say that we all hear rumors, all hear people talking about things that are given away. I don't know. Masters golf tickets, tickets to the Masters tournament for non-employees, baseball tickets being given away to sit behind home plate. I mean, I don't get those. Do you get those? How about a free elk hunting trip to Colorado? I mean, I think we'd all like to go on a free elk hunting trip to Colorado. Think and know what's actually going on in this cooperative. You know, I know, and they know. And you know it's not right. It needs to be reported. It needs to be taken seriously. It needs to stop. I've got another minute, so I'll take it. I'm glad to see my good friend, Mike Kirkland, here from Pettit Jean Electric. Pettit Jean's got a lot of...
Now, this needs to relate to the proposal, if you're going to take your minute, Steve.
I didn't. There's nothing in anything that you've ever sent me says that it has to relate to the proposal.
We're speaking to proposals. I think common sense dictates that it stays on the proposal.
Well, Michael Kirkland, welcome here. I hope the director elections in Pettit Jean go well. And with that, I'll give y'all 16 seconds of free time to breathe.
I, for one, am not going to take those 16 seconds because I'm hungry. So let's move on. Let's move on to, is there a opponent that wishes to speak to the compensation issue?
I'm Jason Strong, and I represent the senior leadership team. NAEC does not provide benefits, gifts, or trips that are not specifically related to and required to conduct businesses of NAEC. Likewise, NAEC does not pay for travel, hotels, and/or meals of family members, nor does it pay for country club memberships or admission fees to professional sporting events and/or activities for employees or board members. Matters relating to bonuses, retirement plans, and other forms of compensation are included in each year's budgets. As such, compensation and personal matters, which is and should remain confidential between NAEC, the board, and each particular employee. NAEC Board Policy 100 outlines the board's responsibility, authority, and organization. This includes selecting a CEO and delegate to him or her the responsibility and authority for the operation and cooperative within the limits of the general policies established by the board. The board, in consultation with the CEO, handles, among other tasks, basic organization structure and wage and salary plan, employee benefit program, selection of consultants, long and short-range financial and engineering plans, and annual work plans and operating budgets. NAEC takes steps to ensure financial transparency. A financial statement audit is performed by Forbes Mazars, with an unqualified opinion reported on the financial statements in 2025. The audit is available for members to view in person. In addition to an independent audit, a rural utility service audit was also performed in 2025, with no findings noted. Any member who has concern with any cooperative-related matter may contact the CEO and then the board if the matter is not resolved for his or her satisfaction.
Steve, you have your 1 minute rebuttal.
I'd just like for you all to stop and think for a minute. If there's those kind of things that go on with an organization that you know are true, what other things are going on that we never hear about? Why can't it be what the cooperative was originally intended to be? You know it can be. I know it can be, but not in the current way it's being run.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and move on to the fourth and final proposal that's been received. It reads as follows. The board of directors shall publish all policies of the cooperative and the board of directors on the NAEC website. Because it is now a qualification for a member to be eligible to become a candidate for election per Article 4, Section 3, in order to become eligible to become and to continue to serve as a director, the person must be in compliance with all other provisions of the bylaws and policies of the cooperative and the board of directors of the cooperative. Is there someone that wishes to speak to this? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Linda Berry, and I've been a cooperative member since, well, my bill says 82, but I've been longer than that. Okay, addressing Section 4 or Article 4, Section 3. This particular section of the bylaws was addressed at an NAC board meeting on November 21st of 2025. A summary of that meeting was posted on the NAC website on December 18th of 2025. The summary heading and summary for this change is, quote, policy and bylaw changes. The board reapproved Board Policy 700 on fund management, updated director qualifications within the bylaws to include membership duration, delinquency limits, and align the Board Policy 100 accordingly, unquote. As a member reading this summary, I do not know what article numbers and section numbers were updated in the bylaws and what was aligned in the board policy 100. In March of 2026, I became aware of the current bylaws revision that I was reviewing the board meeting summaries from 2025. The current bylaw revision date revised November 2025. With that being said, I'll be addressing the addition of subsection J, quote, in compliance with all other provisions of the bylaws and policies of the cooperative and the board of directors of the cooperative, unquote. It's clearly impossible for a member to know if we meet this requirement if they do not have access to the written policies of the cooperative and the board of directors of the cooperative. This is much like being held responsible to follow the law of the land, and then the law has only been published to a privileged few and maintained secret for the rest of society. Why hide the cooperative and the board policies from the members if there is nothing to hide?
Thank you, ma'am. Is there someone who wants to speak to the other side of this proposal?
Hello, my name is Tori Moss. I'm the Marketing and Communications Director at the Co-op, but I'm also a member. NAEC's bylaws are available to all members through naeci.com and NAEC's offices. The bylaws cover subjects relevant to members, such as requirements for membership, capital credits, and director elections. Along with the petition for director this year, we included the section of the bylaws that outlined the qualifications for directors. We also went one step further and included the board policy that goes into more detail of the legal requirements and personal qualifications required of the co-op's directors. This falls in line with a recommendation from the National Rural Electric Cooperative Association of providing publicly any relevant policies that directly involve or impact members. The remaining board policies do not directly involve or impact members. They outline formal guidelines on how NAEC's directors must govern. A newly elected director has access to the board policies once his or her term begins. Thank you.
Ma'am, do you wish to speak on rebuttal? You have 1 minute.
Okay, I will agree that the bylaws are available in their entirety to all members, either on the web or requested at the office. Whether all members are aware of this, I don't know. The bylaws have changed over the years from time to time, and to my knowledge, there's never been any communication that these have been published or they are now available. And if a member's not nominated by the committee on nominations, they may be nominated by membership petition. Understanding this, the bylaws define the procedure for obtaining signatures, and when the petition is to be returned to the secretary. The bylaws do not define the petition period or the ability to obtain the board policy.
Thank you, ma'am. That concludes our four proposals that have been four members' proposals that have been presented. As I had told you earlier, in my opinion, those are all issues that are driven primarily by bylaws, and that's something that the board will take up as early as their July board meeting. If you look at the agenda, we're close to the adjournment portion, but there is a procedure for questions and answers. I believe this was initiated last year, and we're continuing on this year. It is questions and answers. If you have a question, if you'd come to the Orange X, then whoever on the board or senior leadership team will try to address that. Are there any questions that anyone wishes to raise? Any questions?
Steve's got a question. North Arkansas Electric is a member of Touchstone Energy and has been for many, many, many years. We value what Touchstone Energy has done to help the cooperative to be successful. In Touchstone Energy's statements of accountability, they say electric cooperatives belong to the members they serve. Decisions made benefit those in your community because co-op business is conducted through a locally elected board of directors who propose policies to be voted on by the members. Why do we not follow Touchstone Energy's leadership?
I'll address that because we're governed by the Arkansas Electric Cooperative Act. We're not governed by Touchstone's policies. We're driven by what the Arkansas legislature adopted 75, 85 years ago when the electric cooperatives were set up. And that's what governs that, not Touchstone's policies. Any other questions from the members? Anybody else? Once, twice? Okay. Now where we are, we're about to adjourn, but don't just run out yet. Do we have anything else after the business?
No, I'll close it out when you're
Okay.
done.
Let me go ahead and see, is there a motion to adjourn this meeting, but stick around? Is there a motion to adjourn?
I've got
You want, before we adjourn?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I need to thank the senior leadership team. First of all, I want to thank the members, the employees, everybody that's here today. I've seen a lot of old friends, old faces around. I appreciate y'all being here. No, James, I'm not talking about you. Yours is a young face. I was talking about Wayne. But I want to thank Capra and all the team that set all this up, the senior leadership team to my right, the board to my left, Buddy Haston, and your crew that came up with you, and everybody that did a great job. So just a quick closing statement here. I'd like to thank you for joining us today and listening to the State of the Co-op. You know, you're going to hear some negativity, and I want to address that. In a strong civic culture, it's just always here. It's in a sea of positive voices, which is what you heard. It comes to us. I'm not saying we don't listen to it, but we do know that some people try to tear down all that's good. You know, it only thrives when we allow it to. This might sound crazy, but we appreciate it. We look forward to hearing it. We listen intently to voices of division and discord. They're in every community. It seems like today it's easier for that to get out than normal. But as I always say, when we do listen to it, it makes us realize how great this cooperative really is. I mean, you really don't understand how tall the mountain is until you see the valley below. So it's good to have that comparison. Even though some people revel in it, most of us who live a positive and happy life don't enjoy indulging in pessimism, and we truly try to do what's right to avoid conflict. What we have at this co-op, and you've seen a lot of it today through the membership and the employees, is a positive social response. We respond to the half-truths. We respond to the negativity. We fill in the blanks on the dark side of social media. And that team consists of our members and our great employee team that you see here today. You know, literally, and you think about it, in all the technology we have today in this world, we have the information in the palm of our hands, literally. And I remember a guy years ago that we had speaking to us said, you'll be carrying around your phone number and you'll be carrying around a lot of stuff in the palm of your hands. None of us believed him, but it's true today. But it connects us like never before, but it also makes it harder for us to tell the truth from a lie. It does make us more distrustful of one another, more withdrawn, more fearful. No one is immune to anger and doubt, but I do know this: when we lose faith in each other, we stop believing in all that's good. Most of us aren't looking for perpetual anger and division. We're looking for fairness and common sense, mutual respect, and trust of each other. The goal is not to outshout. The goal is to get our honest accurate, and positive message out to the masses. When the vast and all too silent majority finds its voice, negativity fades. And if this work has taught me anything in the few years that I've been here, Roger, it's that nearly everyone is positive, helpful, supportive, civic-minded, kind, caring, with optimism, brightness, and goodness. That's what describes all of us here today. So we choose to be on the side of light. We choose to be on the side of everything that's good. We choose to be on everything that's right about humanity. Folks, you have a great co-op here today. Again, I give credit in employee meetings, on the radio, in the newspaper. It's the folks sitting out here, the employees who are here, that make this a great place. And I am appreciative of the fact that you are here today. I think you don't get a chance very often to hear a report from the senior leadership team. I think the information that Buddy brought today is very critical for every one of us, from the oldest person hired to the last person hired. It's very critical to hear how your co-op is, the state of your cooperative, the state of Arkansas Electric Cooperative, what's going on in the world today, and what better place to do it than right here today. So I thank you very much. Thanks to you all. God bless. Safe travel.
And on a positive note, I'd like to ask if there's a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? All right, we're done.
Oh, goodness.